Did you know that there are pills that you can take that'll make your farts smell like something other than farts? Well, there are, and I'm selling them to you now. This is a commercial for pills that you eat. You eat them and they make your farts smell like something different than farts. We've got all sorts of flavors. The pills themselves aren't flavored, make no mistake. It's your farts that will end up having a different flavor and aroma you can be proud of. We've got all sorts of flavors to choose from. I'm talking about roast beef sandwich. I'm talking about chlorinated pool water. I'm talking about bald eagle egg omelet. I'm talking about root beer. I'm talking about dead dogs. Not all of these smells are good, but we tried to cover all the bases with the aromas we offer, and the weird stuff like gasoline and mayonnaise and house paint are some of our best sellers. So don't stick your nose up at our offerings. Stick your nose in our offerings. You're gonna like the way you stink. I guarantee it. I don't take these pills myself because I cherish my natural stink. I love that my farts smell like a hog rendering plant. I love that they smell like a portable toilet baking in the summer sun. But just because I'm not ashamed of my foul odors doesn't mean you shouldn't be. You should be embarrassed about your farts. You should buy these pills and eat them every day and make your farts smell like New England clam chowder or cinnamon rolls or hot dogs. Whatever you want. Macaroni and cheese. The old Kraft recipe. The good kind before they changed it to make it healthier or whatever. Make your farts smell like the old style Kraft macaroni and cheese with these pills. This advertisement is brought to you by Kraft macaroni and cheese. Do you remember those old Kraft macaroni and cheese commercials? There was a cartoon dinosaur in a river of cheese. The world was so different back when dinosaurs ruled the earth. That was so cool. I wish I was a dinosaur. I wish I had died millions of years ago.
You have successfully connected to the Secret Society of Fly Tires podcast.
Hello, here we are, episode 33. It better be good. It's like the most conspiracy-y number ever. That and the number 11, and 33 is 3 11s, if you didn't realize it.
I got to tell you something. This phenomenon, I had to put it in a song, and it goes like, whoa, amber is the color of your energy. Whoa, shades of gold displayed naturally.
I don't think that any of those numbers have a whole lot to do with fly tying or fishing, but this podcast barely does either at this point, so who gives a turd?
Who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck?
Honestly, I've gone from questioning every word that I speak into this microphone to feeling like I'm finally settling into a groove, all within the first 8 episodes of Season 3. They say that it can sometimes take 10 years or longer for comedians to find their voice.
They told me that the classics never go out of style, but they do.
It's taken me somewhere around 40 hours of recorded content. I had originally planned to make episode 33 about Pyramid Lake. Doesn't that sound great? It lines up all of my favorite conspiracy stuff and fly fishing all into a neat little package. I even drove all the way out there so I'd have some experience to draw from. And so I'd have a cool picture of my stupid fishing ladder to share with all you guys too. But things didn't go as planned, which is just fine. I still plan on doing a Pyramid Lake episode in the future, but this episode is with my pal Gabe Avalos, who calls himself Luchador Fly Company on Instagram. He's the exact type of person that should be a friend of the show, really. He's a goon, like me. He calls himself a fly company and doesn't sell flies. Luchador Fly Company is not a company at all. He's just a regular old angler like me, and probably you. Although he is a long-distance casting champion, so he has that going for him.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.
How can one man be both a proud Euro-nympher and a long-distance casting champion? Don't try and make sense of that, okay? Gabe, aka Luchador Fly Company, is a riddle wrapped in an enigma, covered in power bait and chenille. He wore a luchador mask for the whole Zoom interview that no one but me will ever see. This is the kind of dedication to a bit that I respect and admire. It reminds me of the time that my old band booked a tour out to Austin, Texas to get us to a few gigs that we scored at South by Southwest. There wasn't really anything unusual about the trip or tour. We met some cool people like Iggy Pop and Andrew WK while we were in Austin, and the band that I was in at the time also played a few shows for basically nobody, but we had a great time. My younger brother, who is responsible for the many great Secret Society of Fly Tires logos, wanted to come along with us, and we love his company, so he got in the van. None of us had been to Texas before, and we were excited to hit the road. My brother decided that since we were going to Texas, where barbecue is king, that he would become a vegetarian for the tour.
I'm a vegetarian.
Just so he could reprimand us every time we ate meat, like he was some kind of high and mighty, lifelong vegetarian and animal rights activist.
According to the Daily Mail today, angry vegan neighbour threatens Coronation barbecue. And we have the notes to prove it.
He would order salads when we would order ribs and brisket, and he would give us dirty looks from across the table while we ate our meals, and he kept it going through the whole trip. As soon as we got home, he went right back to his normal diet of eating meat and whatever else he wanted. He completed his joke, and that's what was most important. I thought about demanding that Gabe take off his Luchador mask, but like I said, I appreciate the bit. Check out his Instagram and you'll see him fishing in Luchador masks too. I think he wears them all the time. He's an idiot, and I mean that with all of my own idiot heart. Like I said, he's the exact kind of person that I want associated with this show. Don't act like you're surprised that this podcast is made by an idiot for idiots to enjoy. You already know.
I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot.
No matter how idiotic my show is, I still learn something from every guest. I hope that you people out there listening do too. When I started the show, the only real goal I had was to meet new people that love tying flies and learn stuff from them. And that is exactly what's been happening. I am truly grateful for everyone that agrees to be my guest and to everyone who listens.
He's buttering us up. He's kissing our asses.
In this episode, the lesson that I learned was not to yuck another angler's yum. We all want to catch fish somehow, and as long as it's ethical, that should be just fine. You don't need to know how to tie every classic steelhead pattern to get into the river and try to swing up a fish. Someone can bring a Zebco and rooster tails they got at Walmart to the same river and catch the same fish. You don't need to cast 1,000 feet to hook the biggest fish in the river either. Someone like me can step into the same river and make a horrible cast and hook a total lunker that was sitting there hidden 10 feet in front of him. People fish in whatever way they enjoy their time on the water the most. For some people, that is catching high numbers of fish, and the means to achieve that matter less. That's just fine. For others, one nice fish is enough to enjoy a day on the water. I fall into the latter category. Probably mostly because I don't catch very many fish, so it's a big deal when I do get one. I enjoy tying a fly to fish at a specific place on a specific day, and I want to swing that fly with a two-handed rod. That feels good to me. Plus, once my fly is swinging, I can lose focus for a few moments and enjoy my surroundings. I just want to look at some birds and stuff, you know? I'm not saying this to try and tell you what to do or how to think. I'm just saying that to me, the beauty of fly fishing and fishing in general is how many variables there are for everyone to choose from. People make mistakes too. I make a lot of mistakes, and that is often the only way that I learn. If I look back at my Instagram posts from years ago when I first started fly fishing, I see posts of myself fishing the Lower American River during a time where the river is closed.
How fucking dare you?
And I remember those days and thinking to myself, hell yeah, I'm the only guy out here. And if someone walked by and saw me fishing, they would have definitely thought that I was okay with fishing illegally. I wasn't trying to break the rules, even though you know I hate rules. I do actually try to follow the rules when it comes to fishing. On those occasions I just confessed about, I was lazy and didn't even think about the possibility of the river being closed. I didn't catch anything, but I didn't get a ticket from any game warden or anything either. I didn't realize my mistake until a while later when I started paying attention to the regulations.
Has he read the rules? The rules should always be posted clearly in a public place where everyone can read them. Oh, can he not read?
Well, no, he has read them, Your Highness. However, he has chosen not to follow them.
In fact, I almost did the same thing on the lower Yuba River, and this was a few years after I'd been fly fishing and was actively checking regs. For some reason, I didn't bother doing that before I drove out to the Yuba on this day, and when I got there, I was once again met with an empty parking lot, and once again thought to myself, sweet, I'm the only guy out here. And then, as I'm happily walking down to the river and I get to the shore, I see a drift boat guide with a client about to float by. And he hollered at me in not a very nice tone, "Hey, you can't fish here. This section of the river's closed. You should go find somewhere else." I don't know why I just gave him that accent, because that's not how he sounded at all. But I sat down on a rock and pulled my phone out to make sure that what I heard was correct, and sure enough, I had shown up a few days after the river had closed for the salmon spawn. Once again, I had gone to the river without checking the regs, like a fool. I left and drove home disappointed, but with a good memory to remind me to check the regs before I go fish somewhere that I'm not super familiar with.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Anyways, like always, I got off topic there. I learned from Gabe not to yuck someone's yum when it comes to fishing, and not only because we are different as anglers and people, but from other stories that he's told me from his time working at fly shops. He has talked to anglers of all shapes and sizes, and the important thing is that we all enjoy the same sport or hobby or whatever you want to call it. As humans, we can only try to find common ground and build from there. Gabe and I joked about what the topic of this episode would be while trading messages before the interview, and it was either going to be about Euro-nymphing for bluegill or the golden stone pattern, and we ended up going with the golden stone. And you know what? He really set me up for failure with both of those options, because I'm sitting here writing this monologue and I'm starting to get mad. Which may or may not be because I still very much want to smoke cigarettes, and I am not smoking any cigarettes, but good luck trying to figure out who first developed the golden stone pattern. Using stone flies to catch fish seems to be almost as old as fly fishing itself. What am I supposed to do? Give some kind of synopsis on the origin of fly fishing or fly tying in general? I feel like Gabe could have just been like, let's do it on dry flies, and then hung up the phone on me and laughed. I guess I started giving some kind of synopsis on the origin of fly rod building in an earlier episode, so I'm not afraid. There is no time limit on this podcast, so I can ramble for as long as I want. And it doesn't even have to be true. The only limit is my listeners' patience and perseverance to wade through the nonsense that I let come out of my mouth on this show. When will enough be enough?
Enough is enough!
I often feel like I'm just reusing content from previous episodes when I'm drafting new ones now. Do I go back and check to be sure? No. My buddy Steve told me that I mentioned him breaking his rod tip in his teeth on the McLeod River multiple times this season, and I don't remember that at all. But I believe him. I feel like I forget most of my own content as soon as I publish it. Once it's out there, I never listen to it again. I have to listen to it so many times before it goes live that there's no way that I'm going to listen to it again. There have been numerous times where listeners have sent me messages referencing parts of my show, and I don't know what they're talking about. I think I even did it in this episode when Gabe referenced the Rio Grande cichlid animation that I released last season during the interview. I didn't even realize what he was talking about at first. There's a lot of stuff going through my bong resin stained brain, okay?
Smoking, snorting, shooting, sucking, toking, popping, dropping.
Maybe it'll be fun to revisit these episodes when I turn 80 years old in 2030. Maybe I'll embarrass myself right into my grave. I'll tell you what though, when I get to heaven, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette that's 9 miles long. I didn't make that line up, but I agree with John Prine. Maybe it's a good thing that I forget most of my content though, because I'm sure I've said some really dumb shit. No, I know I've said some really dumb shit. Please excuse this brief interruption from one of our many sponsors.
You love sucking down goat milk. You crave the vegan allure of oat milk. But have you ever tried shoat milk? You don't even know what a shoat is, do you wrinkly old idiot? I doubt it. A shoat is a little pig, a piglet. But how do you get milk from a baby pig, you might ask? And if you asked that to me in person, I'd slap the smirk off your face and kiss you wetly on the lips while telling you that even though shoats are too young to produce their own milk, you can still feed them milk and get it from their innards after they've digested it, and that's precisely what we do here at Hogtown Dairy. Here at Hogtown, we pump our hungry shoats full of all sorts of milk, and once they've had enough, we firmly squeeze them so that the digested milk gets squozen out of their butt and into our collection troughs. It's a difficult, dangerous process, but the resultant shoat milk is unlike anything else. You know when you eat a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and the milk at the end is all sweet and cinnamony and delicious? Well, that's exactly what shoat milk tastes like, but shoat milk is thicker. It's sort of like the consistency of gravy or mayonnaise. It's incredible. One sip and you'll be hooked for life, not just because of the sweet, savory flavors, but because we also feed our shoats tons of cigarettes, and the succulent nicotine and tar gets squeezed out with the milk. Because of this unique process we use to squeeze the milk from our shoats, it is legal to sell the shoat milk to the public. Even kids can buy it and drink it, even though it's 50 times more addictive than cigarettes or black tar heroin. Get yourself a warm bag of shoat milk today from Hogtown Dairy. You can find it in your local grocery store's milk section. Just look for the package with the picture of a little pig being smashed to death. That's us. That's what we do here. Drink our shoat milk.
I'm 3.5 pages deep into this monologue now, and I haven't even said much of anything about the topic of this episode, which is supposed to be the Golden Stone. Did fucking Gabe pull a long joke on me? He knew right from the get-go that this would be almost impossible for me to write about, and he is just now enjoying the fruits of his labor, listening to me fumble my way through this. Fuck you, Gabe. If I was in the ring with you right now, I would fucking DDT you so hard.
After I beat you and satisfy all the Hulkamaniacs, I'm gonna get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
I'm going to take the power back from Gabe for just a few here and talk about the number 33 instead, and continue to avoid the episode topic because it's my show, and I love some weird numerology. That's what I know and crave on a daily basis. Maybe not numerology specifically, but the occult, the Illuminati. I named my show Secret Society of Fly Tires for the love of God. I can't get enough of this kind of thing, and 33 shows up a lot if you read the same stuff that I do. So let me just ramble off a list of significant 33s. First, of course, I'm going to start with the often debated 33rd degree of Freemasonry. Don't let any Masons that you know tell you that everything they say about the 33rd degree is phony, because it's not, it's real. Second, there's 33 vertebrae in a normal human spine. Jesus is said to have been 33 years old when he was crucified and resurrected. 33 is the number of years that it takes for the lunar phase to return to its original position in relation to the solar calendar. Dwellers of heaven are said to exist eternally at the age of 33. 33 actually comes up in the Old Testament in many ways. The name Elohim appears 33 times in Genesis. King David was said to have ruled for 33 years. Jacob had 33 children with Leah. Jesus is said to have performed 33 miracles before his death at age 33. The Anglican Rosary has 33 beads, and the Greek Orthodox prayer rope has 33 knots. Islamic prayer beads are generally arranged in sets of 33. Most people don't know that they minted 33-cent pieces in the U.S. for only 1 month, the month that Lincoln was killed. They discontinued them once he died out of respect because he was the 33rd president. The Tibetan Book of the Dead has 33 heavens ruled by Indra and 33 ruled by Mara. In Zoroastrianism, the world was created in 33 steps. All mammals have 33 teeth. In Buddhism, their goddess figure goes through 33 transformations. There are 33 letters in the English alphabet and the Russian alphabet. The 33rd degree parallel is a line of latitude 33 degrees north of the equator. It passes through some of the world's most interesting historical places, and many historical events have taken place along it. A couple of examples being the Trinity test site of the first detonated atomic weapon, as well as the cities where the first atomic weapons were dropped, which were dropped during the tenure of our 33rd president, Harry Truman. Dallas, Texas is on the 33rd parallel. So is Disneyland with its 33rd degree Freemason founder Walt and their Club 33. The original U.S. flag had 33 stars. 33 degrees is when ice melts into water. Human DNA has 33 turns in a complete sequence. NASA's famous runway is runway 33. And last but certainly not least, I couldn't end this list without mentioning the insane King Charles VI, ruler of France from 1380 to 1422, who was said to have had a 33-centimeter long penis. I could probably go on forever, but you get the picture. It's an important number in nature, religion, magic, pop culture, and more. I might have mixed in some nonsense there, but I have to in order to entertain myself.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Are you ready to be punished with cold, hard historical facts about fly tying?
Punish me!
No, go. Lead them away. I don't have any time.
No, you must punish me. Hurt me. I deserve it.
Not now.
If you don't like this next segment, blame Gabe, not me. The first reference to the style of fishing we know as fly fishing was in about 200 AD by a man named Alien. So just like the History Channel has proven over the last few years, every great invention and every milestone our species has hit is because of aliens, and now the internet is telling me my beloved hobby is thanks to them too.
Holy fuck! I told you, motherfuckers, there was UFOs out there!
Brandy, get that off your head!
Tell you what, I'm gonna wear my motherfucking hat! They ain't gonna suck my brain out of my head!
I'm joking, of course, but the name is spelled like alien with an extra E after the A, and I was legally obligated to make that dumb joke. It's a person, a single named person like Homer, because back then they didn't need last names because there was only a handful of people around. Alien wrote a book called On the Nature of Animals and described a method of fishing apparently invented by the Macedonians. Greeks have always been known for their fishing, their nautical skills, and preference for anal sex. But this text described a different style of fishing as it concentrated on a particular fish found in the Astrius River rather than the sea. The fish in question is described to be spotted and to eat flies aggressively from the surface or even while in the air, which sounds like a brown trout according to the author of this article I'm reading, and I guess I agree too. Alien went into great detail on the innovative methods the Greeks would use to catch the fish. The ancient Greeks did not want to handle actual insects directly due to how icky bugs are, so in order to catch these fish, they decided to mimic the local hipparus fly by attaching red wool and 2 rooster feathers to the hook. That hook was then tied to a long rod made from burnt spaghetti noodles or possum tails if you listened to earlier episodes, and fly fishing was born. If we want to be real though, who really knows? Some super hungry dude could have done it and never told anyone because who really gives a shit? No one except you weird listeners of this show want to hear me talk about tying flies. If I start talking about it in regular conversation, I quickly see the interest leave the eyes of whoever I'm talking to. Why would that be any different back then? How the hell was that such a short history of the origin of fly fishing? I thought I'd be copying and pasting way more than that. Now I gotta find some more info on the golden stone, which might finally force me to learn a little entomology, I guess. Lucky me. I don't know why this obviously important aspect of fly fishing has always sounded boring to me. I'm gonna be open-minded though. I'll quit cursing my pal Gabe and I'll try to enjoy learning something new. Stoneflies, phylum Anthropoda, class Insecta, order Plecoptera. Plecoptera are a group of aquatic insects well known to fishermen and biologists worldwide. The name Plecoptera means braided wings, from the ancient Greek plekon and pteryx, which refers to wing. The name refers to the complex variation of the 2 pairs of wings, which are membranous and fold flat over their body. Membranous. I'm learning all kinds of new words with this episode. Generally, stoneflies are not strong flyers, and several species are entirely wingless. Stoneflies are called indicator species because finding them in freshwater environments generally indicates relatively good water quality, as they're quite intolerant of aquatic pollution. There are approximately 3,500 species in 300 genera and 18 families of stoneflies described worldwide, and nearly 600 species in North America alone. I'm supposed to be focusing on the golden variant.
I love gold!
Come to find out, stonefly coloration varies by species. It is also affected by the habitat in which they live in as nymphs and the time of year that they emerge. Smaller stones that emerge during the winter months are dark, enabling them to absorb all available heat from the sun. Darker colors predominate, but yellow, tans, and bright green are not unheard of. Mottled color combinations are common, such as the banana-like dark brown and yellow scheme of golden stone nymphs. Recently molted nymphs are a pale yellow to almost white. Let's back up, I guess, and try to understand the life cycle a little bit. If you already know this stuff or it bores you, just fast forward. I won't even know, or care. I'm actually starting to enjoy this entomology lesson now, so we're going to start from the top. Stonefly eggs sink and stick to the bottom rubble and debris. Within about 2 to 3 weeks for most species, the eggs hatch and a new generation begins crawling around the bottom of the river. A typical stonefly life cycle runs approximately 1 year. Some species, such as the large pteronarcis or salmonfly, take over 3 years to reach maturity. It is common for nymphs to inhabit one particular type of habitat only to move as they grow and mature. Most stoneflies are vegetarians, like my brother on that tour to South by Southwest, but a few species, such as the golden stone, are capable carnivores. Their active prowling often gets them dislodged, and in waters that they're known to inhabit, dead drifting and nymphal pattern is a good starting point. Dislodged nymphs tumble and wiggle until they touch bottom or disappear down the throat of an opportunistic trout. Upon reaching maturity, nymphs migrate in numbers toward the near-shore shallows. Despite the large size some species attain, they are quite adept at staying hidden under the rocks and debris and out of the trout's view. In many instances, migrating nymphs offer the best chance for trout to focus on stoneflies. All stoneflies crawl out of the water to emerge. If you take the time to inspect shoreline vegetation and rocks during emergence time, you often see the cast shucks. Males tend to emerge first. The males of many stonefly species, such as the squala, are incapable of flight. Their wings are short, non-functional, almost decorative in nature. A condition called brachyptery. I can't believe I just said that right. I think I did at least. Adult males scurry around the shoreline, avoiding predators and searching for a suitable mate. As the adults are capable of taking in water and eating plant materials, mating does not take place right away as with other insects such as mayflies or midges. To attract a mate, stonefly males produce a drumming sound using their abdomens.
After emerging from the river, male stoneflies will move to rocks and small branches along the riverbank. Periodically, they will stop and they will drum these substrates with their abdomen. Their performance has to be good because these vibrations are used to attract their mates.
Potential suitors sense these drumming vibrations, get very horny, and follow them to their source. Once mated, pregnant females stop responding to drumming males. Mating typically takes place on the ground or the vegetation within a week of emergence. Stoneflies do not mate in the air, even though that sounds pretty cool. Gravid females take flight, returning to the river to lay their eggs. Okay, excuse me, I got another new word to look up, the very sensual term gravid that I've never heard in my 43 years on Earth. And it reminds me that I really want to get David Gravett on as a guest for a future episode. He seems like he'd be perfect for this show. Anyways, it says here that gravid comes from the Latin term gravis, meaning heavy. Hell yeah, some heavy-ass bugs. It can also refer to a female who is literally pregnant. Okay, got it. I'm learning entomology and brand new words today. Some species crawl beneath the water to deposit their eggs, while most skip and flutter above the water in an awkward, clumsy ballet. Each time the female touches the water, she releases a portion of her eggy cargo. This all comes back around to anglers like us, twisting up a bunch of different variations of these things because fish love to gobble them up.
Nom, nom, nom.
There are so many stonefly patterns out there. Many golden stone patterns. Gabe mentions his favorites during our interview. For nymphs, everyone knows Pat's rubber legs. There's also the double beaded stone and the 20-incher. Honestly, there's a bajillion. Just look at YouTube and find one you like. Same goes for emergers and stimulators and dry fly versions of the golden stone or any other stone you might want to fish. There are a ton. You don't need me to tell you which ones you think will work. Fish will eat any of them if you properly serve them. Would that be a better name for an angler? A server? We are the wait staff of the river, serving up meals to our slimy guests. Okay, that was dumb. Want to know what's even dumber, though? I wrote a note down for this episode that just says, a stoned fly. Do flies crave dog shit even more than usual when they are stoned? That's where I'll end my dumb rambling for this episode. Let me introduce you to my pal Gabe, aka Luchador Flyco. So, anyway.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, well, great to finally meet you, Gabe. Before this, our interactions were commenting on each other's Instagram posts and through DMs. And you were one of my earliest supporters, to be honest. And I thank you so much. I didn't hear from many people right out the gate. But you guys out in Texas somehow got a hold of me, probably because of the Wes McNew interview, maybe.
I don't know. No, I remember seeing your promo for like your second interview, and I was like, "Holy, this is
The
awesome."
the April Vokey one.
No, yeah, I guess. Yeah, it might. Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
April Vokey one,
Yeah.
and I just remember like your intro. Like, I don't care what the hell the podcast sounds like. Like, I could watch your intros
Oh,
that you
hell
were
yeah.
posting on Instagram like all day long.
Right on.
And
Man, I must have tagged that one right. Got it in your feed. Yeah.
well, I mean, my algorithm is, as you can see, completely crazy.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
not unlike my own.
yeah, it's all over the place. So that's where I was like, this guy looks cool. Let's go talk to him. Let's get him on a podcast.
Yeah.
And then to see where you've come, to see where my $20 donation came. You're working out of the car. I'm like, I got to get this guy something.
You helped me secure the voice of Ren and Stimpy for a trailer episode. That's what that went towards. Yeah, absolutely,
Ooh.
absolutely. So he did contribute. That's like my goal with all show contributions is to put them into paying for cameos. That's what I'm gonna do with it.
Well,
But-
you had Cobra.
Oh, that was done solicit. That was almost. Well, I don't think that was paid for.
Ooh, nice.
Surprisingly, yeah. My brother just somehow got him to say it in a live. So
You see, and this is like, I knew those, and I showed the guys. They're like, who is this guy? Like, you don't need to know
Oh,
this guy. Just
you
go look
didn't-
at all the stupidness.
you didn't know who he was before that.
I did.
You did? Okay.
Landon and Zach didn't know.
Okay.
And once we put it in our thread, they're like, who is this guy? And then they started watching, like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, that's my kind of humor.
I'm trying to think of who else I paid for cameos. I think it was the dude from Windy City Heat. Yeah, I was very proud of that one. That was good. They did it perfectly. I give them very little direction too, just a few things that they guide you through on Cameo or whatever, and I just pray for the best. And I got my eyes set on a few more. So bring those donations in, folks.
Yeah, only $20. $20 will go into some amazing cameo of random people you've never really heard of.
Yeah, man, you control the content. But we finally got together, man, on a Zoom to make a show. To make a show, we did it, and
I'm excited.
I feel like we started this conversation a year ago, to be maybe more, which is dumb. Somehow, things happen. Yeah, I still feel ill prepared somehow, but that's just what my brain does to me, man.
Oh, I think I left my cheat sheet in the office as well. I had some notes, but oh well.
Well,
we started.
Yeah, lucky you too. I'm rusty because I haven't done one of these in like a couple months. Like I'm not even talking to the microphone. See, I was putting together the 6 episodes that I have in the can now.
Okay.
And like I had done all these interviews to get those ready first, and then I was really trying to have the whole season in the can before I launched anything this time. That was like my grand plan, and I procrastinated so much that by the time I got to 6 episodes, I'm like, I better just start putting some out, and then I'll put the pressure on me to finish the stuff up to keep things in line and stuff. So,
no, dude, I know the feeling. Like, I feel like lately I haven't even been excited to like fly tie we went fishing this weekend, and it's like, okay, getting back into it. I've gone some little trips here and there. So it's like those little trips to like get you going. I think once you start, okay, and you make it a repetition, it's easier. But when you put it to the side for a little bit, a week, it's like it's hard to do. It's hard to get anything started.
yeah, I always judge how much I fish at the end of the year because I fill out a steelhead card.
Okay.
I have to, write down every time I'm out there on the river, and I really do see like all the days that I was out there, right? And like last year was weak, man. Like I don't think I filled up the card, and there's like 29 spaces or something on there for dates, like on the front.
Okay.
Didn't fill up the card. So I was out there like once a month maybe last year, which is really
So
lame.
y'all fill out a card out there? Like
Yeah, on steelhead rivers, if you're fishing for steelhead, you fill out a card that's reporting your catches at the end of you report your harvest or your catch and release, whatever it is, and
got it.
If they're wild or clipped, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you enter it in on the Fish and Game website at the end of the season. And so I can look back at since I started doing a steelhead card and see all the things that all the data's still there, which is cool. I can see how few that I've got over the last 10 years or so or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, last year was weak, man. So, and I live real close to the river, so I'm gonna try and change that. But where were you fishing?
Did the coast, did
You're talking the coast? You're talking going to like Galveston area? What are you doing?
no, like Rockport, goofing off. Usually take the wife and kid down to Padre Island National Seashore
Okay, yeah,
and hang out there, catch some whiting in the surf.
that's cool.
Just to say.
Yeah, I like catching fish in the surf, man. It's rad.
Yeah, and then I did a deep sea trip, and we did about 20 miles out, and that was fun. That was just like a weekend. We got into some stuff, nothing crazy, and then some trout on the Guad, on the lower Guad, and then on the upper Guad, for summertime. So, like I said, I got out a lot more this year for trout than I had in a while. So that was nice. But now that it's summertime, a couple of years ago, we would go and do a lot of carp fishing on the Pedernales.
Yeah.
But that was like 10, 12 years ago. And you do it and you're like, okay, this is cool. And after being away from it a little bit and seeing a couple of carp this weekend and had some shots at them, it's like, okay, I kind of want to get that. And carp fishing is just like red fishing.
Okay.
Except you don't have to go on this like big flat. You can just keep walking down the river.
Redfish, they seem easier to get than a carp though? Like everybody talks about how carp are so tough. Are they both as difficult, in the same level?
I feel like redfish are a little bit easier.
Okay.
I think
you always hear how tough carping is, yeah.
I think if you had as much openness, because you could be on a skiff or you could be wading a flat, and it's a flat, right? So you have space between you and the fish, and sometimes on the rivers with carp, sometimes you'll see them if you're wanting to sight cast at them. You're in skinny water, but you might be in a 20-foot section, so they can see you, you can see them because you're already in close quarters.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it tough.
Yeah. Okay. I get you. Yeah. You're gonna be a carp guy now? Is that gonna be the new thing?
No. It's just you. So like when I first started fly fishing, I would go to the Guad below Canyon for the trout releases. I'd go out there. That's kind of where I kind of cut my teeth. And then there was a stretch there where it's like, okay, that's cool, but I'd rather throw poppers and stuff for bass and bluegill on the upper Guad. And then I did some trips down to the coast, and I was like, okay, this is cool. You get that first redfish on, and it's running, and when it's cool, and you're trying to differentiate between a school of mullet and a redfish because they look kind of similar as they're V'ing through the water. And then we just went on this tear of like a year and a half of just carp fishing. And we'd get out there early and we'd walk miles, and we'd be in some really like areas that didn't look very much fish. And I could see some people posting online. I knew where they were at, but I knew they weren't doing they weren't going that extra walk where you had to like get to neck deep water and cross it and then keep walking another mile or climb up a little cliff just to get into an area where there's like hundreds of carp all over the place. So, I've got pictures with good ones, some nice ones. I got buddies that just huge carp. And then it's like you did it and you just move on. And dude, there was like a stretch of like 4 years where I didn't even really fly fish. I was working part-time at a shop, and it just wasn't really fishing. Like
you were working at the fly shop, but just not fishing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that happening though. Like you're in the world, you're in the world there. It's like, it just reminds you of being at work or something. I could see it happening.
Yeah, and I did that part-time for a while, and actually I'm still doing it part-time, but I did it for I've been doing it part-time for about 17 years now. And I've got a regular Monday through Friday job I went to college for.
Yeah.
So your weekends come and you're just like, I just want to do something else. And I got into like long range shooting. I got into duck hunting. I got in. You move. Did it, and you move on to other stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, maybe that's why I'm still just really obsessed with fishing because I haven't caught a lot of big fish. I'm still looking for those moments on most species that I can get to around here. And
I mean, when I started, I was hardcore. Like every day, I'd come into the house and I start fly tying, make something to eat, and the TV's right next to my desk. I got like a crappy roll top desk from some garage sale, and I had all my stuff and just tie. I mean, I've got boxes of just crappy flies that I'm sure catch fish. They're just like when you really go down that rabbit hole and you want to tie really cool stuff, sometimes it's just not to what you want.
yeah, I mean, I rarely get to spend more than an hour to tying it all, right? Like if I have to focus on it, unless I have like a trip coming up or something, I need to get some stuff to go. But like with fishing though, I mean, I can see it in my life though, like regular life, like video games and stuff are the same way. Like I'm okay with getting to the end, like I don't need to finish it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like the journey is better than the destination cliche or
I don't
whatever.
even
Like,
think I used to play, especially in college and when I graduated. The day comes in, maybe play some whatever PS3 when I date myself.
Oh no.
But then
That's all
nowadays,
I only play the old stuff too, like
right?
Super Nintendo and shit.
So nowadays, a new like Hell Divers, all these cool games come out. I'll just watch the YouTube videos of guys playing it. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Save me $80.
It's all my kids watch. It's all it's ever on my TV. Man, it's just watching people play video games. Like, don't you guys want to play it? Like, no, we just want to watch this guy do it.
My sister gave my daughter a DS, a Nintendo DS, and I got her Mario Kart. And so she's that first couple of it's like, well, I got fourth, and then now you just hit that stride, getting the mushroom cup.
Yeah, man. I was just playing with my kids the other night. In fact, I've been hawking GameCubes on eBay, looking to buy a used one because like that has Mario Kart Double Dash, right? Which has the dual player where like my kid could be the one with the weapons and I could be the one driving the car, and like it would be fun. So it's surprisingly not as cheap as you think it would be. They're like people want them, you know.
I think that DS game was like $18.
Yeah.
And I was like, here you go. And she just like loves that game.
I know we're going off on a weird tangent here, but like I feel like the GameCube came out and it was $139.
Okay.
And it's $30 cheaper for a used system. It's like it's weird. I don't know. Retro gaming is in, I guess, or something.
In college, we had one of my roommates had the original Nintendo, and we played like Dr. Mario. And again, like I think at that time PS2 was out, but we were still playing that.
Yeah, I like the good stuff, man.
I don't know what it was, but something about the Nintendo game Jaws.
I played that a bunch, yeah.
Yeah, but I could beat it in like less than 10 minutes.
I don't think I ever beat it in my life. I played it for hours and hours and hours.
Oh, no, like we would
because isn't the end scene you have to like spear the shark with the front of your boat, right?
So the first one is like you're that diver, right? You get like thrown in there, and
you keep doing that throughout the game. Oh, it's like
right. You're harpooning, and then Jaws shows up.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you get
and it's just fucking terrifying, man.
It is because you have a map and you have the boat and you go around the map. And
they jump scare you. Yeah.
And then you go and you play real quick, and then you get back on there and you have to find the submarine. You get the submarine.
Oh, right.
And you can shoot the bombs, right?
Yeah.
And then so once you're tapping the buttons real hard and you finally beat him, then you have three shots to harpoon him.
Yeah.
And he like it's just like the harpoon thing's there and he's in the background going like this, and then he'll come up and you have to hit a flash or something. He comes out of the water and then you gotta hit the A to spear him.
Never did it.
It's done.
I played it so much.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised.
I mean, that's the thing is I guess I didn't really care. I had fun playing it anyway.
Well, I mean, it ends quick and then you get to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Retro games. What's been your favorite retro game? Like growing up, like even now, you'd be like, if there was one game that you needed to go and play, what would it be?
Easy. Mega Man. Or the original Mega Man. The original one. Original Mega Man through 6. Right. So
Okay.
the ones that came out on regular Nintendo. Yeah.
So I
Those
think
ones
is it the
definitely. Yeah.
second one had like Flash
Flash
and
Man.
Woodman.
Yes, that's two. Yeah.
Okay, two.
Also the best soundtrack of the bunch.
Now I thought I sent it to you, but there was like a bar that they played, like a
Oh
guy
no. Yeah, I've
Speed
seen
played
this.
it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Speed played the game, and they had the guys in the
Playing
band.
it live. Yeah.
Oh,
I wish that would have thought of that, man. It's a
that
great
was the
idea.
coolest thing ever to
Yeah.
see.
It's a brilliant soundtrack. My brothers and I have talked about trying to somehow buy the publishing for it so we can release it on vinyl and stuff.
Yeah,
And we think people would like it, but I don't know. We do. But anyway.
you're
So hey
right.
man, my first question for you.
Okay.
So is this episode about the Golden Stone or is it about Euro nymphing for bluegill?
I think we could do both. We could talk about both. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if you saw it, but Kelly Gallup just came out with a video.
I did see that. Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden out of nowhere, Kelly Gallup's throwing weight around on what he thinks. Now he doesn't care what you do, right? He does not care. What he cares about is the fact they call it competition fly fishing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the way you put it. Yeah.
Right. It's the competition. It should be competition nymphing. And we could do both because I mean for me they kind of go hand in hand because that was one of the first like I saw that fly and I started asking questions about what Euro nymphing was,
Mhm.
and that was the first one I tied and the first one I fished with on the Guad in the summer. And the first fish I caught on it was a nice Guadalupe bass.
What was it? A Perdigon or something?
No, it was that golden stone.
Oh, the Golden Stone. Okay.
It was the golden stone. So I saw the golden stone video from Tight Lines Production. I forget the guy's name on YouTube, and it's a Euro nymph golden stone, and it's tied like a pheasant tail, but you have rubber legs on the back, and of course you have like a front hot spot. I think I used with like a size maybe I think it was like a size 12 Euro nymph hook with maybe probably a 3.3 tungsten bead on it.
Mm.
And when I saw that fly, I was like, okay, this looks cool. I like where we can get some uses out of. And I started reading about Euro nymphing, and I kind of asked, like, we have a national fly fishing team or a national
Yeah,
team,
I
right?
always forget that. I don't.
Yes.
It's not on my
And what do they
radar.
do? Like
Yeah.
I thought, oh, okay, they fly fish. No, they all Euro nymph,
That's really what they all do.
pretty much.
Is it because the competition is catching fish? Like it's like
Right.
a numbers competition?
Numbers
Most of the time?
competition, and even within that style, you have different types. You have Czech nymphing and Spanish and all this and whatever. Just kind of
People are ranked in all the different styles.
yeah, it's almost like NASCAR. Like they're all trying to find subtle ways to get the most natural drift of something, right? So I go online, I buy a rod. I just had like a regular reel that I put on it. It's like, okay, you don't need any fly line or anything. Okay, great. And on the upper Guadalupe in the summer, a lot of the areas that you're fishing are against the bank. So you might have a 40-foot wide stretch of water, but you're standing pretty much 10 feet away from the bank, casting towards the bank.
Oh, casting back towards the bank. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're wading. Summertime, you're wading and you're casting towards the bank.
Okay.
Whether it be poppers or streamers or whatever. 90% of bass and bluegill and all that are
Just
typically against the bank or unstructured.
one little lane there. They're all just yeah.
Yeah, they'll be in the middle sometimes too, but when you're wading, you're wading in the middle of the river and you're just towards the bank and you're just hitting the bank. And some of the places that I like to fish, they have a stretch of running water against the bank that's moving, and then you have that goes into maybe a deeper eddy or whatever. So I was like, this is perfect for Euro nymphing. Even though I would throw poppers in some of those deeper runs, it was perfect. And I remember doing it the first time thinking I got hung up on something. and then set the
Big
hook,
fish,
and it
yeah.
starts. Yeah, and it's
Hell yeah.
and as you continue to do it, you can feel that fly just bounce against everything.
Yeah. And so you're talking about the heavy point fly down there that
Yeah.
you usually think is getting hung up because it probably does pretty often, huh?
Well, and I'm using what do you call it, barbless hooks. So
Okay.
sometimes it's riding hookup anyway,
Yeah.
and those areas of faster moving water.
Yeah,
And
those are
then
mostly tied on jigs, right? All
yeah, they're
those.
all jigs. They're
Yeah.
all or at least everything I tie is on jigs. And I mean, it's cool. And then there are like minnow imitations or even leech imitations, and
That
one that
people
I
that
tied a
people that people use for
yeah.
ear nipping. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A straggle string bugger, which I love. I've been tying them a lot this season.
As a
You,
heavy point fly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really just marabou tail and straggle string from like
Okay.
Semper Fi.
Yeah.
You tie a tail and you wrap the body and you're done.
Yeah.
And that thing bounces around and it's leechy, or you can strip it quick, or you can just let it dead drift and it looks like a little minnow going through. It works great.
Huh.
It works fantastic. So and then you can throw top water with it. So I in the summer, again on the Guad, I'll tie on little small popping bugs or little small terrestrials and kind of churn that Euro nymph rod into a Tinkara rod, because I'm not pulling any more line out, and I can just single hand hold it
Yeah.
and just move it with my hand.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit more versatility.
Yeah, it makes so much makes so much sense when you're dealing with like such a small lane, right? Like you're trying to cover every nook and cranny, right? And so you can with that. The thing that's always turned me off, I've only tried it once or twice on two different trips. Like I bought a ear nymphing rod, I don't know, 5 years ago for one of the trips I took out to the McLeod River here, and didn't even think anything about. I was like, "Oh, whatever. They're not even casting like all this shit. Like my buddy knew how to set it up, had told me to get what to get and stuff, and figured it'd be a piece of cake. You're just dragging line through a slot or whatever, and like I had a hell of a time, and I didn't catch any fish with it, and switched back to throwing soft tackles and stuff, and trying to get trout in ways that I was comfortable with, and you know. I think it's harder than it looks. I think it gets a lot of shit, and I don't like it. I don't like doing it. I don't fault anybody for doing it. Like
Yeah, it is. There's a small learning curve, and it's with the weights. It's the weights of the fly, because if your fly's too heavy, then you're banging off of everything. If your fly's too light, then it's not sinking. And we had a big expo a couple of months ago, a big one down here in Texas called Trout Fest. And George Daniel came down here.
Okay.
And big Euro nympher. And his old books, it's all like heavy stuff. And all of a sudden now it's all lightweight jigs. So instead of going 3-3, maybe you're tying 2-2, and which is light in fast moving water. And he's saying now that you just supplement additional weight with split shot,
like you would on a bobber rig,
like you would.
Yeah.
But and then so when I heard that, I realized that a lot of us are all just full of crap anyway. He's already published 2 books one way, and now 2 years later, it's like, oh no, it's different.
That's what I love about fly fishing, though, man. Like it's so fluid. It's so fluid to however works for you. Like I don't know.
But if it works in your area, what you're doing, it works.
Yeah.
And I've dabbled in micro spay. I've dabbled in single hand spay. And so I like to try these things, because there's a lot of times where I might not even use a Euro rod, but I'll use Euro flies. And even this year I used tube flies. I got started doing tubes.
You're doing tubes? Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, micro tubes.
Are you tying on those pro sport fisher micros, or the nanos?
Yeah, what is I can't remember the brand. I think it's like HM something.
Oh, yeah, I haven't tried those ones yet.
But they're micro size. In fact, they kind of bend a little bit because they're so small.
What are you tying on them?
Pretty much like these just rabbit streamers,
Okay,
so I'll put like a rabbit tail I'll put some like flash, like a Crockett flash, or a chocolate flash, excuse me, and then another like just kind of head of rabbit that's just a brush.
To dead drift them or swing them, or what are you doing?
Both
Yeah.
swing them,
Yeah.
and then in areas that again on the Guad, it was not in the middle of the water, throw to the bank and just strip it up, strip it through just as a
Yeah.
little.
I feel well, for one, like I never talk to anybody else, rarely, only on this show that tie on tubes. Most of the fly shops I go to don't have a whole lot of stuff. I always got to order it. So pardon me for nerding out on this a little bit, but like I don't see people stripping them really. I feel like it's always swinging them, right? And I feel like they could. I'm sure people do. I just don't talk to them. I don't see anything about it. But like stripping them like you would any other streamer, it's a tube, whatever. As long as you're
right,
knot keeps it in place or whatever.
I think it's this
rigged
like,
correctly.
I think we pigeonhole ourselves in certain things. We read and it says it has to be done this way.
Yeah.
And then we're stuck with that. And
I wanted to tie some for Pyramid Lake, and like I never saw anything about anybody using tubes at Pyramid Lake. And I was like, I think people are pulling streamers and stuff there. I want to try something else over there.
Yeah.
I didn't end up doing it, but
what do you have to lose? I mean, again, like here I am Euro nymphing for bass and bluegill. There's no one else I know that does it. It works, right? So who cares? And I'll dabble in this stuff because I think it makes me a well-rounded angler.
Yeah.
And there's times where I'll have my regular rod and I'll look at it, how the water's moving or whatever, and go, you know what? This would be great for that, or this would be great for that technique. And yeah, I don't have my Euro nymph rod to do it, but I can still high stick a 9-foot rod through an area. And that's one of the biggest takeaways I hope anyone takes out of this is just stop pigeonholing yourself that it has to be done this way.
Yeah.
Try it another way.
Super open. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I mean, all these guys found out because they did something different. All these guys that write books, again, George Daniel here changing up a little bit because he's
they had some kind of epiphany and they're like, holy shit, that was wrong. This is like, better. Yeah.
Who cares? And there are a lot of guys out there that are very, you know, what would you call that? Like, it's got to be done this way. Like, just, oh my God, what would the word be? It has to be done this way because that's how it's always been done.
Just tradition. I mean,
tradition. Yeah. But a good example of breaking that is a squirmy worm.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So we all fish that, even when we don't tell our friends.
Yeah.
That saved a couple of trips. So.
Man, what is that behind you? I just saw this thing behind you on the wall. It looks like some weird ass sculpture.
Oh,
what is that? I know people aren't going to be able to see this, but I'm asking. It's on the other side.
There's a sculpture?
I don't know what it is. It looks like some kind of Muppet back there, man.
You can see that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's it's a holiday decorative.
Oh, very cute.
Yeah, it's a holiday. Really? That goes that far?
It does, man.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, you're just seeing my small booth.
It was staring at me.
Sorry
to distract you.
No, sorry, distracted you.
Run off this interview.
It's the CIA camera.
Oh, fittingly in an owl.
Yeah, you'll never know. You just think it's just decorative.
Well, they love the owls anyway, man. The Bohemian Grove. I know you know.
Yeah,
I know you know.
Whoever's listening to this knows too.
We should probably back up and like kind of go through some basics for folks that don't know you. So, Gabe, where are you located?
Now that the CIA is watching, I am somewhere outside of the San Antonio area.
I was gonna say I think you're around the San Antonio area.
Yeah,
but how did you end up there? You born and raised out there?
Yeah, born and raised pretty much. Went to school just outside of town, but yeah, born and raised.
Cool. You ever think you're gonna leave?
I did some traveling in college, and it was fun. I just got a lot of family and stuff tied back here, and you're 2.5 hours from the coast. You got some cool fishing up north. It's just a cool spot to be in. It's not crazy like Houston. It's not crazy like Dallas. So, I love it here.
We almost moved to League City, Texas. You know where that is?
Yeah, it's out by Houston, isn't it?
It's near Houston,
Yeah,
closer to
yeah,
I think it's close. It's a little further south of Houston,
yeah.
I want to say. Yeah, my wife's dad had a house out there, passed away, and the house ended up with us. And we were like, do we move out here? And we decided not to. But now it's keeps sounding more appealing. I don't know. I could see myself moving out of California in the future.
It'd be hot and humid over there, though.
I don't like the humidity.
You see that?
Don't.
That's I think. I mean,
I don't think if I was going to go to Texas, probably be further north though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd be fine up there. I think League City, yeah, you'd be sweating just going to sleep.
Yeah, we were there in August last time we were down there. So I got a full taste of loud ass bugs and brutal humidity.
Oh yeah. We're getting there. Today is like, it's like you're on that cusp of, should I wear jeans outside or should I start wearing shorts?
So then in San Antonio, the Guad, your home water then? Is that like the closest river for you? Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be more westward out, probably an hour drive from where I'm here in town.
That's not bad.
Now, no, dude. It's not a bad drive to get out of town and go fish some areas that you're not going to run into anybody. Park the car, start walking, and you won't see anybody else out. You might see a couple of kayakers, but as I get older, I'm like, oh man, do I ever want to continue fishing by myself out there? You know, you break a leg or you get bit by a rattlesnake or something. But luckily, the areas there's no, like, I don't know, I haven't seen any crocodiles or anything like that.
There's crocodiles in the Guad?
Well, I guess alligators. So, like, I know in Bernie Lake for the longest time, Bernie Lake had an alligator, and I think someone poached one. But I mean, it was he'd go sun out in a little creek kind of in the back area that everyone knew about it, and he was a big boy. He was a good size. He was out there for the longest time, and I think ended up getting poached. Someone went back there and shot him.
Whoa. Yeah, there's some showing up somewhere, I want to say on the Sacramento River here or on the Delta or something like that. I read something about that, and I feel like I did a promo, like a fake commercial about a nonprofit that was trying to reintroduce crocodiles to the Sacramento River. I feel like the worm put one together for me about that. But it's kind of coming true. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if that's taken off or if they got rid of them. But I know
it
wasn't a large amount. Yeah.
Locally, they're trying to work on that crane habitat you're promoting for the Honey Hole podcast.
Yeah.
That ate the Rio Grande cichlid ate this crane's eyeballs. Yeah.
Yes,
so they're trying to set up funds to help these blind cranes.
Yeah.
but we do, like, what ends up happening is people buy these alligators and then they go and like dump them out. We have two lakes.
They're pets. Yeah.
Yeah. We have two lakes south of here, the Calaveras and Brawning. And there's been several times where someone's driving and there's this alligator just randomly walking. Not a big one. They have to go get him and remove him someplace else.
Yeah. So how would you sell an angler to coming out to Texas to fish? Because I've talked to a bunch of fly fishing Texans now on the show. I know there's tons of opportunity out there, but on the surface, it doesn't seem like a fly fishing destination.
You are 2.5 hours away from the coast. So
that's what you see the most, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
But even then, if you go down to the coast and you go a little northward, then you have areas like Port O'Connor, where you've got shots of tarpon and other stuff that you can jump on some of the jetties and some of the channels.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then locally, again, an hour drive northward and then on I-10 towards El Paso, you get areas of the Guad, little areas that will cross over these little farm roads. You can park the car and walk right in. So now in the summer, you've got accessibility to go after bass, bluegill, Rio Grande cichlid, Guadalupe bass, just all of that. Just wade fishing and just throwing poppers on the bank. And then in the wintertime, they start releasing trout northward below the Nam. So he has shots in stretches of the river. I think it's like what 9 miles, something like that, where the state will dump trout, and then GRTU, which I believe is one of the up in New Braunfels, has one of the largest TU chapters, put these trout in. So you have that, and then on top of that, if you go out a little bit more towards the border, you have the Devils, and you can do a several day float on the Devils River for smallmouth bass.
Fresh.
And clear, super gin clear water. So I mean, you've got a lot of cool things to do year round. You have something to do year round. You just, this time of the year you do this. We have the White Bass Run. White Bass Run just ended last month. So you're going out towards like the Austin area or down south to George West, and going and catching 20 white bass per day, and having big fish fries.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they hit hard too. So those small little clousers, you're tying them on stainless steel hooks because these fish just hit them.
Big stout hooks on them. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Way cool. Yeah, that's probably a dumbass question, man.
There's
Lots of fishing in Texas, and you see it all over the place. But
yeah,
I'm so steelhead focused all the time that's like that's all I think about. I think everybody else thinks like me, you know.
Well, but we do, just not for steel, something else, right?
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, like right now, again, for me, it's like kind of getting back in this carp bandwagon.
Carp sounds fun, man, and there's definitely some opportunities here locally here that I need to check out.
Yeah,
I have a buddy that's tried is mentioned us going.
They're fun to catch because you're stalking them, but you can't just keep.
I do none of that. Yeah, I don't do any of that kind of shit. Yeah,
you have to like. And you do the same thing for redfish. You can't just keep casting for redfish. You're seeing what they're doing. You've got your line already ready to go, and then you start casting to them.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have one, and if you're lucky, 2 shots before they spook off.
I've really done none of that kind of fishing, to be totally honest. I don't fish out of boats very often, and sight fishing and stalking fish like that just hasn't been part of my program. And it sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah,
it is, but I think sometimes too, just need this to get away for the sake of getting away, especially as I get older. Like, I'm just, as cliche as it's saying, like, oh, I'm just happy to be here, I'm just happy to be out. I am and I've done all that cool stuff before Instagram, because now you have to have an Instagram page for anyone to believe that you've done what you've done. But it's a weird time.
Yeah.
You know? It's a weird time.
Yes, it is. So you mentioned working at, what did you work at, an Orvis store or something like that?
Yeah. So I graduated college, and then I graduated college. I was
curious what the fly fishing jobs you've had are. Yeah.
Well, it's all been retail. So I graduated college. I was a hospital supply rep. I could make my own hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I go into Bass Pro, and I'm like, I start talking with the guy there. I had bought my first combo, which was a Scientific Angler 5-weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was traveling a lot down to Del Rio. And Del Rio has Lake Amistad, which is this mecca for bass fishing, because the water's so clear and the lake is so expansive. And I mean, you'd see 10-pound bass just looking at you going, it's like, okay, what is this guy gonna throw?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it was sick. It was just, and going out and doing that, and you know, not trying to run into tarantulas or 2-legged coyotes out there fishing late.
Dogman.
Well, more so the traffickers. Human traffickers.
I thought you were talking about a dog walking on his hind legs like a human.
Well, that too,
hybrid.
skinwalkers and all that. Yeah, no. Well, that too, for sure.
The Dogman, yeah,
and especially down, on the border, right?
Yeah,
and I started talking with one of the guys at Bass Pro, and he's like, "Hey, we got an opening." I'm like, "Great, let's go, let's do it." And what better way to learn than a Thursday night? You get to read all the magazines, watch all the movies, read all the books. and that's just when I fell in love with it. But I think I fell in love with
get all the info from all the folks in there.
and get all the discounts too.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is an expensive sport.
Very much. Yes.
Yeah, and I was young, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, tying flies is going to be cheap, save money."
Yeah,
Oh,
fucking right.
And man, it was cool, and I did that, and I mean, I was there for almost like 14 and a half years, just working maybe like 1 or 2 days a month, or I'm sorry, one or 2 days a week. And towards the end there, I was working 1 day a week for 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I'm not
barely there.
yeah, I'm not here for the money. Like, I enjoy to get out of the house, talk shop, have fun. Well, I want to say, like, I think one of the craziest thing I saw was 2011, right before Christmas. All these girls, those little like teenage girls, started coming into the shop, going to the tying wall. It's just weird, out of nowhere. We started seeing like groups of them come in over the weekend. I pulled one aside. I was like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're looking for feathers.
They want the grizzly saddles.
One of those grizzlies. We're putting them in our hair. What the hell are you talking?
There was a renaissance of that like 80s trend happening.
Well, it was at that time, Steven Tyler, I think, was like on America's Got Talent or something like that, American Idol. And he had it in his hair. And that's what started this, because everyone was like, "What is that? That looks cool. I want to do that." Man, we'd have hairdressers come in the shop and pull off all our marabou.
Dude, I'm gonna get a whole wig of grizzly saddle and just wear that.
Dude, I mean,
right?
I was
like Ramon's bangs though, and
Yeah.
like the rest, like just flowing grizzly saddle. Yeah.
Why not? I mean, in 2011, everyone would be like, "This guy's rich. Look how much feathers he's got."
Yeah.
I was selling him on before work. I'd take a backpack and do like a Mexican restaurant, and someone that I ran into on like Facebook, he put it out there, and I'd be selling hackles. I'd like lay them all out.
No shit.
And I'd be like, "Okay, here's the price on this one. Here's the price on that one." It was nuts. I had a buddy. He had a $40 cape. He didn't even know about it. I called him like, "Hey, if you got any saddles right now, this is the time to let go of them." He didn't even know.
Yeah.
He found a cape. It still had the price tag on it for $40.
Yeah.
He won it in a Christmas raffle.
Never opened it. Yeah.
Never put it on eBay, and he put it up for 7 days. On that last day, he sold it for $1,700.
No.
To some hairdresser out in Arizona.
Was it like just a regular natural, or
A
was it
regular
special,
grizzly Met saddle or whatever? Might have been a whiting saddle. Not even
Whiting
like
Farms,
not even like, it was like, I don't know, a grade 2 or whatever. It just wasn't even. It wasn't all that. But for $40, $1,700.
Wow.
And I remember people showing on like the Drake and stuff on the discussion boards with like the final tallies of like $12,000 and $15,000 in their capes.
I missed it. I missed out.
Yeah, and once it hit, because they started selling them at Walmart, and once it hit Walmart, you knew it was over.
They were selling full saddles at Walmart.
They had like a pre-made one that you could just put in your.
Oh, they turned into something. They marketed a real product. Okay.
Yeah, and once it hit that, it was like, okay, this thing's dead.
Man, that's crazy. I missed that. Unfortunately, they're still expensive for me, man. Like I see all the colors of the grizzly saddles that I want. I want them all, and like they're not cheap. So
I just dropped like $90 on a Cree saddle. It's cool as crap, but I'm like, it took me a while.
Yeah,
to even take it out of the bag.
You go to, if you're gonna buy some materials online or at a shop, like it's gonna be like $100.
Oh yeah.
And like you're like, unless you're just going in there for like one specific item, like you try to keep it under a certain amount. It's always around $100 of stuff, man.
Yeah. No, I go up north. There's a shop in Round
At least.
Rock. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I'll go twice a year up to Round Rock, shop called Living Waters, and I'll probably drop like $200 because a lot of stuff I want to see. I know it's good to buy online, but you can't see it.
Dude, I've been starting to hawk those eBay listings for lots.
Yeah.
Start looking. I don't know if that's old news or something like that, but I just kind of got turned on to it. So I haven't bought anything yet, but like I've been looking at stuff. It's like, man, that could be fun. Like you can probably get a bunch of crap, but
Could get a good thing.
you get some good things in there. Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace. I know Landon. I think.
Oh yeah, he had a big story about that.
Yeah.
That's right. We talked
got
about
it from.
He had an estate sale. I want to
Yeah.
say that he just was like it was a fly shop in there.
They split it with he split it with another buddy, and I mean they sold some stuff and they made their money back and then some, and still had stuff to keep.
So cool, man. Yeah, waiting for one of those estate sales around here. So we should probably talk about the Golden Stone a little bit. You kind of already told me why. That's just the pattern special to you, but do you geek out on the entomology thing? Like, is that something that you're like really focused on when fishing and tying?
I don't geek out on like the scientific names.
Yeah.
I want to have an idea of what's what, right? So I do have like this like painter's strainer net that goes over my fishing net. So I can kick rocks and I can scoop it up.
What do they call it? Seine?
Yeah. And it fits over my fish pond mid-length net. And it's great because you can shove it in there and do it. But I think I'm more in tune to like what the sizes and the colors are. I don't really care what it is because you start seeing the same things. Yeah. And in the summer down here, those bluegills and bass, they don't care if it's top water and it gets their attention, and just little popping, because there's a lot of little frogs on the Texas rivers, little frogs that just hang out, and so these small little pencil poppers will work great.
Sure.
It's mainly to me color and size, and I'll look at stuff and go, okay, I know what that is. But I don't really geek out too much of like, oh, that's a Helgermite or that's a Hendrix or that whatever.
Yeah, I've pretty much completely ignored it. Like not because I don't think it matters or something. It's just like it's intimidating for some reason. I feel like it's like a big can of worms to understand. Like, and then I like to swing flies, and it's not usually so much about it's not so much matching the hatch or whatever. It's what you want, what you're feeling good about, and some other weather factors and things like that I usually care about when I'm picking what I'm going to fish. And so it's just not what I've jumped into. I bet once I got into it, I'd be pumped and interested because I like to learn, but it's just something I've ignored.
Again, it's another thing that's cool to know, but do you have to go and be like, oh, that's a Hexagedium, Limbaugh, whatever?
Well, I do feel stupid when other fly anglers are talking about that shit and I have no idea what they mean.
Well, again, if you can look at it and go, okay, I know that's a mayfly. I know that's a midge that's flying. I don't care what type or what species. Like I know that is. And inside my box, I have something that's close in size and profile.
Please excuse this brief interruption from one of our many sponsors.
What's for breakfast? Cereal? No. Waffles? No. Raw bacon? No. Uncooked bacon? No, I said. Well, then what's for breakfast? I'll tell you what's for breakfast. Eggs. Delicious, healthy, farm-fresh eggs. But before we get into that, can I ask you something? Why did you guess uncooked bacon twice? Why did you think that was an okay thing to guess? Is that something you eat for breakfast? Do you eat raw pork products in the morning? Do you like the taste of freshly butchered hog meat? If you answered yes to any of these questions, well then boy oh boy, have I got a product for you. I'm sure you've heard of those services where you get meat delivered right to your door or on a schedule of your choosing. We've all seen and heard ads for those services. They all say stuff like, sign up today and get 3 pounds of ground beef for free with your first order, or free shipping on orders over $35, stuff like that. Personally, I don't trust companies that offer free stuff with your first purchase like that. It makes me wonder what they're trying to hide. If they really had a high quality product or service, then they wouldn't need to lure people in with free this and discounted that. It's ridiculous. If you've got something good, just sell the good thing. Just offer the service and people will see that it's good and they'll buy it or they won't. You'll get paid or you won't. That's life, baby. Life ain't easy. I never said it was, and if you say that I said life was easy, you're a liar and a thief. And I hope when you die, nobody comes to your funeral. Speaking of funerals, I had to go to one about 3 weeks ago. I guess I didn't have to go to one, but I chose to go to it because I live very close to a graveyard, and I saw a big fancy funeral happening, and I know during some rich people's funerals that they serve food to the mourners, and there's no way I'm going to miss out on a free meal that's being prepared and served so close to my home. So I dressed up in my Sunday suit and walked over to the graveyard with a sad look on my stupid face, and I stood in line and went up to the casket and said my goodbyes, and then immediately got into the food line, and boy howdy did they have an excellent spread. Rich people really know how to live, and rich people really know how to die. They had all sorts of cakes and broths and sandwiches and 3 kinds of chili which were labeled by spice level. I didn't want to seem like a wimp in front of all the other mourners, so I slopped myself up a big old bowl of the hot stuff and really went to town on it. This proved to be a grave mistake. Get it? Grave mistake? I'm hilarious and you're an idiot. Anyway, about 15 minutes after I gulped down nearly 1.5 pounds of the extremely spicy chili, my guts began to howl and twist, and I knew that I only had a very short time before I'd be ruining my Sunday trousers and possibly sullying the memory of the rich dead old man whose funeral I was feasting at. So I did what any respectful person would do, and I called the graveyard hut. You know, the little building at the graveyard where the grave diggers live, I assume. Anyway, I called them and I said that I worked for the municipal water company and that we had to run some water tests, and I asked that they turn their sprinklers on for the whole graveyard. As you can imagine, the gravedigger did not want to do this right then. They explained to me that there was a large funeral being held on the premises, and that turning on all the sprinklers would soak both the dearly departed and his kin. I put on my most stern managerial voice and explained to him that if he didn't crank those sprinklers all the way up right this very instant, I'd come down there myself and he'd be the dearly departed, if you know what I mean. He knew what I meant, so he acquiesced and turned on the sprinklers, and all of us at the funeral got hosed down and had to run away. I used the wet chaos to sneak away out of the graveyard back to my humble abode, where I absolutely wrecked the old thunder bucket. I mean, I really did a number on the poor gal. That chili was spicy going in and straight up lava coming out. Youch! It hurts my tender little hole just thinking about it. Would I do it all again? You bet. I'd do it in an instant. I love a free meal surrounded by sad people. I love getting dressed up. I love threatening grave diggers. And believe it or not, I love having spicy diarrhea. So it was kind of a perfect day for me, now that I think about it. It was one of those rare days where everything just goes right. But enough about me. Can you even remember what this advertisement is about? Do you even know that you're listening to an advertisement right now? Well, you are. Somebody's got to pay for this show, and somebody did. And that somebody is...
then I think that's fine. It's just a rabbit hole to go and say, okay, well, it's this free floating caddis, this or whatever. General idea what's going on around you, great. But again, Texas fishing is so weird because for summertime, it doesn't matter. Throw a pencil popper out there, you'll have fun all day long. And
I like it.
Yeah. I have a dry fly. Okay, I'll throw it and I'll let it just kind of float next to the bank. Bluegills are going to hit it. I don't care. Throw egg patterns and have fun.
Yeah, I don't see. I'm right by the river, but I don't really have any spot like that close by where you can kind of like. I'm currently looking for one to bring my kids to so that they can get into fish routinely without a whole lot of effort. And there was one little pond that we were going to that was pretty good. That was near Folsom Lake, and then they were doing a bunch of restoration and a bunch of like construction work back where it is, and it's not accessible. It hasn't been for months, and so like I've been looking for somewhere else. I don't really know if anybody in the Sacramento area has any tips. Let me know. Shoot me a DM or something because I have not found any spot that would be like a sure thing for them to get into some bluegill or something. And I live right by the river, but the American River doesn't have a whole lot of fish in it anymore. The runs were pretty good this year if you go by the hatchery counts, the salmon and steelhead, and more than they have been. Probably mostly because they had water and they had good flows for when they needed it, when they were doing what they needed to do. But I still don't. It's not I don't catch many fish on the American River. I don't know anybody that does. Like there's definitely guides that know how to fish it and get into fish when they can and stuff. But except for shad season on the American, like where it's pretty good, there's a good amount of shad running through the river every summer. I don't think there's a ton of catching, at least for fly anglers. You see other bait fishermen and stuff come up with stuff, but again, I'm not the best. But I don't live at a river that is conducive to catch to numbers. So I'd love a little spot like that, no matter what it is.
The upper Guad is like that. Lower Guad can be challenging as you get into like the Seguin area and all that. As you get like 11, 12 miles downriver, there's a lot more areas that are dammed up and wider and faster moving water. So you can't necessarily, you're not going to be able to wade in those stretches.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of folks like that upper part, everything west of 281. And there's some areas on the east side too, but you have lots of areas where a lot of people go and float and tube the river, right? Yeah, so that's what you have to deal with in some of those areas because you're fishing and here comes a group of people. Oh, are you catching anything? And then the next group, and you're just doing that all day long. You're hearing that all day long. And that upper part, like I said, you can park by some of the bridges and just walk right in and just start walking, keep going.
Yeah, maybe the episode right before this one actually is on my local river, the American River, here in the lower American River here in Sacramento. And I'm in Carmichael, and it's like mid-river basically is like my zone that I closest to. And it's followed on both sides by a bike trail. It's got a lot of recreational amenities, right? And there's heavy traffic on it in the summer. Lots of swimmers, lots of tubers, lots of party. It's right by Sac State, so there's lots of party tubers in the summer and stuff like that. And that's what's rad about the Shad Run is that like all that stuff's happening and you're still catching fish because they're in there and they're in big numbers. So that's the one time a year. And last year wasn't that great actually, but in years before, it's been the one time a year where I can kind of, I'm going to go down to fish and I'm probably going to get a couple. Like, but anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and there are days you go out there and you catch 50 fish, you get bored of it. They're all small, but you go take a 2-weight and you just have a blast, right? Or take a fiberglass rod and just slay them and just like, okay, cool. And go home.
Do you have a favorite Golden Stone pattern?
So
or one that you kind of start tying off and like make your own variations or something?
Yeah. So the specific one is a Golden Stone. It's tied on YouTube by, again, I forget the guy's name, but it's Tightline Productions. Well known. I just couldn't figure out. I can't remember the name. But that one. Sorry, it's Fiesta over here.
Hello.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. The dog's like 17 years old, by the way. I don't know how it's still alive. So it's specifically, you can type it in Golden Stone Euro, and the variations on it are probably different colors of the body, which is, I mean, it's just basically a big pheasant tail. It's basically what it is. A big pheasant tail with a collar of like dubbing that, or just like a flash dub or whatever.
Yeah,
laser dub.
We fish a Golden Stone on the Trinity out here it's got rubber legs on it, almost like a Pat's rubber legs in the same kind of places. And then, but a tight yellow, golden thorax, like all the way up it. And then it has a little dubbing collar and then a big bead in front. And they look good and they're heavy, big nymphs, basically big giant nymphs.
Now we don't have huge stoneflies. They're small, right?
Right.
So the size of this is fairly big, and I think what triggers the bass and the bluegill when this thing's going through some fast moving water is it looks like a small crayfish. Okay. It's like baby crayfish.
Tiny one, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why, I mean, it just gives them a trigger, and that hot spot on the front is just enough that dead drifting, that's why they're hitting it for Texas, you know. But it's a cool pattern. I mean, it's not hard. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. And that hot spot I'll change to like maybe like a bright pink or orange. but I feel like that like hopper yellowish is the winner. That for that color is the way to go.
Yeah, I've really only fished them on the Trinity, and you see them all over the place, and their husks or whatever are on all the rocks. At least the times of year that I've been there, and lots of people use them. The fly shop definitely tells you to use them, and we would either fish them under an indicator if the river was what that would work best, and or swing them on like a floating line with no weight and just swing them. And I don't think I caught anything on Golden Stone there, but everybody uses them and they're all over the place, so it's obvious that fish are eating them.
I see, and I feel like they're going to use smaller versions of pheasant tails on the Guad. I haven't asked around, but I feel like during the wintertime for trout, it's like egg patterns, squirmy worms, and some pheasant tails or even some disco midges. But once summer comes, like nobody that I know, nobody that you see online, nobody that goes and talks and posts it on local fly fishing groups. It's all streamers, it's all clousers, it's all topwater gurglers. Nobody's doing that. And again, I get it. Everyone wants to see that toilet bowl flush of that fish coming underneath, and
it is very cool. Yes.
Yeah, it's cool. And so when you're talking to them, oh yeah, you're gonna heavy nymph for bass, they're like, that seems boring.
Yeah, I've caught very few fish on top watered, and the times where I've had opportunities, I'm like, and where I see it happening, and I miss some fish, and see like, oh, I can get it on top water here. Like it's been so fun. Like I'll sit there and try for days, and may not have any luck, but it's yeah. There's a bunch of stuff that I don't do. I'm typically swinging flies. That's what's the river that I live on. It works. It's a bigger river, and it's fun. It's what I do, and I need to break out of that. I've been trying to. I need to get into more warmer water.
What's that
water
meme?
things.
What's the farmer meme? It ain't much, but it's good living.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing too. We've been talking about Euro nymphing. The best fly fishing memes right now are all Euro nymphing memes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll trash on Tenkara, and I'll tell people, well, I Euro nymph. At least I can look my wife in the face because I have a reel.
Dude, I would Tenkara in the right place. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember. Don't tell anybody. The first time I used a Tenkara rod, I rented it from Cameron, who does the fiberglass manifesto.
Oh yeah.
And you could rent. I don't know if he does it anymore, but you could. He'd send it to you.
He'd mail them to you. No shit.
Yeah, he'd mail them to you.
He was so nice, man. I reached out to him as a total noob that wanted to get my first fiberglass rod. He chatted me up about what to do, like total stranger, man. He was very sweet.
I think he's gone down the golfing. I feel like a stretch there. He was all about golfing. But he happened to have like 5 in his inventory, and so he mails it to you.
Yeah,
you get it mailed. It's your job. Your payment is to mail it to the next guy.
Oh, well, okay.
So,
he'll just tell you when somebody else wants it.
Yeah, he's like, you got it for a week, and when that week came up, he'd be like, okay, just send it here or send it to this guy over here, right?
I like it.
Okay, so there's $30 to rent it, or $20 at that time to rent it, whatever. And I took it out to the Medina, and I was fishing this private stretch of the Medina that goes through Spuddy's property, and I caught at that time one of the biggest Rio Grande cichlids that I hadn't caught one, and boom, I got one on.
Yeah.
And
pretty fish.
Oh, it was awesome, and landed that thing, and man, it was awesome. But I was just, I can't. It was too hard to do line management, because again, a lot of stretches of the water down here, they almost look like the size of creeks.
Okay. Yeah.
And you've got this long Tenkara rod that's with a fixed line. You kind of have to like really stand back and to
right on top of it.
Yeah. And that's where I like the Euro part, because you got control. I can like, oh, I'm this close, I'll reel it in. Or if I need a little bit more, I can pull a little bit more line out.
Sure.
And people say, well, you can't cast. Euro nymphing's the death of fly casting. Well, you can. You can set up your leader to have a longer leader down to a smaller a smaller size, and you can cast. I
You
mean,
can
I've
you can
thrown
shoot line. Yeah.
again for what the Guadalupe
Yeah.
needs. You can at least cast, and you can cast dries, and you can cast poppers. But again, here I am using this Euro rod and kind of getting the most out of it and doing what no one would want to try, or no one. I'm not saying people aren't thinking about doing it. I just, you don't hear about it. But who cares?
And
Catching fish.
you would love the new fly rod. So I have an episode coming out before this one with my buddy Gilligan up in Truckee, who's putting together his own rod, selling his custom rods. They're called Truckee Speed rods, and they do like everything. They look really sweet. And they're Euro nymph with them.
And people are gonna lose their
streamers.
mind. People will lose their mind.
They probably will.
Right?
They're radical.
Oh, it can't be this because
Breaking all the rules, man.
Yeah, breaking all the who gives a shit? That's what I'm getting tired of with the younger crowd right now, is that they're just like, oh, they read the book, they got into it. It's like, nope, this is what the book says. It's
That's not what the young folks are doing. That's for the old folks. The old folks are supposed to enforce that stuff.
Worse now. I mean, that's the only reason why I started this stupid Instagram page.
Dude, I think you're right, man. I think that the kids think they know everything now because they have their phones, right? And they know as much as you do, Dad.
Oh yeah. Shout out to my buddy Ricky. I hope he hears this. Ricky worked with me there in the shop. He was in the fishing department, and he'd come over in the evening. Now at this time, I've got a 2-year-old at home, married. I got a regular job, right? So you're just like, you go there to close from 6:30 to 9, and you're just like decompressing. It's quiet. No one's bugging you back there. So they'd go out there and they'd like, oh, I bought a fly rod, and they're starting to tie, and they're like, Gabe, we come in here and you're not doing anything. You're not tying, or you don't post anything on the Facebook or whatever. Like, do you even fly fish?
Okay.
Dude, I was there for like 8 years already, right? I got like employee of the month. I got the watch for my anniversary and all this crap.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. Like, again, this younger crowd, you need to have 2,000 followers and 1,000 likes per post. And I feel like majority of the time I'm not even posting the biggest fish. And that's why I started the stupid Instagram page, was just to show those guys, no, I do fish.
Yeah.
Here's what I do. And you kind of have to put it in a place.
My analytics for the younger crowd are very poor. Yeah, they don't listen to this podcast. The 18 to 24 or whatever, when I look at my analytics, is the smallest number out of all the age demos that they give me.
All Kelly Gallup right now. It's got to be huge streamers, articulated stuff.
Like, I feel like I'm a child making childish humor. So like, why wouldn't the other children like me like it? But I'm now 43. Anyway. So what else have you been tying? You mentioned tying on some tubes. What else have you been tying up?
Tubes I've been dabbling in, and
they're fun, man. I love it.
Yeah,
It's all I've been doing lately.
The plan this season is to get out a little bit more and actually use tubes, streamers, and I'll keep you posted on that.
I made that's my New Year's resolution, man. I said I'm going to try and fish tubes anytime I'm swinging, at least.
So that, and a pattern that we talked about earlier was that straggle string minnow, because it's just stupid easy to tie.
Oh, we're great on a tube. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're great on a tube. I just tie them on a regular like 5/16 fire hole with 2.2 or 2.8 bead on it. Man, trout hit it, bass hit it, bluegills have hit it, and you're just kind of shaking your hand. So either you can strip it quick as a running minnow, or I just kind of go like that, and you just kind of bounce it as the current takes it. Man, I just been going after it.
Yeah, I go in waves, man. I'm currently getting like kind of geeking out on muddlers. Haven't really tied a whole lot of deer hair flies, and I want to make a cool, like, my own muddler tube. I haven't seen a whole lot of those. Not like they're not being done out there, but I really jumped full on into the tube stuff, and I don't know if I'm like wasting my time on a fad that'll come and go or what.
They're all fads. They're all fads. All of this stuff is all fads.
Dude, one of the fly shops that I order materials from a lot, Ashland Fly Shop. up in Oregon has a 40% off sale. As I'm saying this, it's by the time it's come out, it'll be over. But on all their pro sport fisher tube supplies, and they won't be restocking them. So it's like I'm wondering if they're just like going to start carrying like some other manufacturer like tube stuff, or are they not going to carry them all together because nobody's buying them? Like,
who cares? It's your gain.
yeah,
Buy
well,
them all.
if I can't get the stuff and I didn't have the money to buy all the stuff, I got that notice about the 40% off sale
Yeah.
literally after I made my order for like I made like $100 fly order materials order on some feathers and tinsel and bullshit.
Well,
And
lucky for
then they're
you.
like 40% off on tubes too. Also, dude, I'm like, ugh. Like, so I went back and like put a bunch of stuff in my cart to like really see how much would I be spending if I did it again.
Lucky for you, I have signed up for the Secret Society of Fly Tires Golden Platinum Eagle level
Oh,
club.
you're in there.
I'm
Okay.
in, I
Yeah.
have to be.
Yeah.
I have
right.
to be. So
Right.
I'm waiting.
Only
for what
there's
that
only
bill
a few of you. The price is so expensive that not many
I'm hoping
people
for my
want to
card.
do it.
That card better be
It's
laminated in the.
it's coming. No, it's metal.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, man, I'm not sparing any expenses.
I'm just
here,
making
buddy.
sure. I'm making sure.
I'm not.
I'm keeping you honest.
So hey, are there any patterns that you just won't ever tie? You think
Woolly
Or-
buggers. Woolly
you don't.
buggers.
You don't ever. You just
I
talked
hate
about
woolly
tying a
buggers.
woolly bugger.
Yeah, but it's not a woolly bugger.
That is too.
Yeah,
Why
it's
isn't it?
It's two materials, and you don't have to wrap the hackle and wrap the wire and that bullshit.
Dude,
It's just you tie on the tail and you wrap the straggle string and you tie it off and you're done.
I've mentioned on the show before that I've tied very few woolly buggers, and it's not because I have anything against woolly buggers. I don't ever fish them. I never fish them, and I've never caught a fish on one. I'll tell you that. I know that they work for everybody else, but like they that's not for me.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only
I
one.
wish they're cool.
I've
I see
never
a lot
caught
of,
anything. I've never caught anything on a woolly bugger.
I haven't either, and
Yeah.
I see lots of cool variations. I see like the all feather ones, like and shit like that, like that. Like I want to tie them. They look cool. I would.
I mean, look, if
probably
someone
wouldn't use them.
if someone sees that straggle string thing, they'll be like, "Oh, this is a woolly bugger," and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But like a proper woolly bugger, proper one that you buy, and I could tie them all day. I could tie them nice. They just don't do anything for me. And then again, there's some patterns that are just so simple.
So
you know, now,
so much of tying is for you too, right?
Yeah.
Not the fish.
no. Well, and it's funny nowadays. Like I have all these old books, these fly tying books, and that term variant goes a long way, right? They're just like, oh, it's this. I tied this. This is a Clouser variant. This is a woolly bugger variant.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's not that. Nowadays, everyone's such in a hurry to get their name on anything that they just put on flash, and now, oh, this is so and so's a pattern now, and
it feels so weird to think that way. Like I when I at least in my personal in my brain when I'm tying something, I always figure like there is no way in hell that I'm the first person that is trying this. Like
Right.
like you know what I mean? Like I always
Right.
that's always my thought.
Yeah.
So-
And I hate posting flies now because it's like I can't really I don't want to take the time to do the due diligence and post something up, put a stupid name on it, and then you get called out. This
Like,
is so and so's. It's so tough now, and for good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, I just assume it's already out there. I don't even want to
Yeah.
do the research. I just assume it's there.
Well, and I've seen people post on Instagram, and I'm like, dude, that's this fly. I don't even know why you're calling it that. Like this thing's been out for like 30 years.
Man, but I love when there's those dudes out there that are super creative that make these patterns that you're like, I'm just like, fuck, man, these guys are so bad. Like Farmer, and Farmer has a few patterns that are just so badass and like are his, right? And like they are unique, and I love that. I love that stuff, and I've never had the desire to sell flies. Like I never thought about tying them commercially or anything. So.
I want to say, like, for being around so long and seeing evolution of certain flies and stuff. I mean, like you said earlier, I feel like everything's already been done, but occasionally there's some stuff that comes out and you're like, wow, that's cool. Like game changers, right? Game changers.
Yeah,
like,
Blame Chocolate's a great example, right?
Holy crap! Like that's cool. And down here on our side of town, we've got Chase. Oh, I forget Chase's last name, but I think you can go online, fish Chase flies. He's got this zagging zoot pattern I'm not at my fly tying desk. I have one, and it's like foam and it's wrapped, and so you get that walk the dog presentation.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, just really neat how he was able to put that together
Yeah.
and
I love
tie it.
that. I love that innovative stuff. There's a local guy here that does conventional lures, which I've
Okay.
never seen anybody go down that route like people do fly tying. Does some really cool shit. Like I'd buy him if I was a spin fisherman still. But I just like
Sure.
people. I like people being creative and
Yeah.
and coming up with these new things. I just never feel like anything I make is creative enough to give a name to. Yeah. So
I'm trying to find Chase's last name.
I threw a little note on my notes here
Oh,
to get that link for me if I in case I don't follow him. I bet I do.
yeah, I'm sure he probably does follow you. If I spell this thing right, fame changer. No, game changer. There you go, Chase Game Changer. I'll find it later. That'll come to me. But anyway, yeah, he's got some cool stuff. He's got some really cool cart patterns as well. A Scorpion, I think, is one. And him, I want to say like locally in our area, him and Matt Bennett, some other guys are locally have some really cool stuff, and it's cool to see
Yeah,
what they do.
I'm just dipping into interest in carping, and it seems like the flies are very greatly, and you're seeing a lot of cool different stuff people use. I mean, it's
Yeah, they kind of vary, but I think at the end of the day, they're all pretty dang close, right? You got a tail, you got a little body, some bead chain, maybe a little tuft of rabbit.
those bead chains. I just got a whole bunch of those. I never used them before, but I was looking for something for tube flies, put eyes on them. Those work
Mhm.
great on tubes. I don't know if you've tried that.
Now, yeah, and use them for that. What are you using for weight on your tubes?
Well, I've been using the Pro Sport Fisher tubes, and
Okay.
they make weights that fit. They have a couple different styles that
Mhm.
slide onto the tube. They're like a little ring, tungsten ring, or they have like a little more sleeve type ones
Okay.
that go on there.
That the tube goes over the weighted part?
So your tube's on the needle on your
Okay.
adapter, and then you put so I've been using mostly the 50/50 tubes or 40/40, I forget what
Okay.
it is, but
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
half is one size and the other side's smaller, right? And you basically slide them on there, and I usually slide them up against the where it butts up and changes the size, right? It just sits there. But they make different sizes and different lengths and stuff like that, but it's all slide over the tube. You haven't been using any weight on yours?
No, because they're so small. I mean, those are
Yeah.
micro sizes, and
I
so
yeah, I like tying them with no weight, but every once
yeah.
in a while I'll throw some stuff, throw a little small weight in there too.
Yeah, I noticed. I mean, the first time that I used them, I mean, they look cool in the water and all of that, but I
Mhm.
needed to put a little bit of split shot, probably about 2 feet, 3 feet in front of it.
Oh yeah,
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 to get it for because I wasn't swinging them,
yeah,
but for what I was using for just like stripping them in a current,
yeah. You need some
uh,
weight on there.
just to get them down, and they worked.
Yeah, and I tried a bunch of different because they make beads and stuff, right, that fit over the front. I don't think anybody makes any eyes specifically for tubes, and it's kind of different. They're bigger than a hook shank, and
Yeah,
they don't sit the same way. But the bead chain eyes separate out, right, and they kind of you can fold them over to where they do sit on the sides.
yeah.
It works pretty well. I like it. They don't add a whole lot of weight either,
Do
but
you, do you think it's worth it?
it looks cool.
Then that's all that matters.
Yeah, yeah,
Who cares?
that's why I put them on there because I like putting them on for like if I'm gonna do something kind of like an intruder or something like
Yeah.
that, and I want to the eyes on the front. Like I'll use if I'm doing it on a tube, the bead chain eyes work great.
Dude, it's only stupid if it doesn't work. Who cares?
Yeah,
You know?
they're not gonna. The fish won't respect me at all, right? So hey, I got to ask you my question that I ask everybody on my show, but
Mole people are real.
it's
UFOs
mole
are real.
people.
Lizard people are running the world. All three of them.
Mm. But have you experienced any of them? Or anything weird? Have you had anything weird go on? It's the anything paranormal or supernatural.
Any, I will have in co
Ghosts.
in college. In college, we I was like an international marketing class, and we went the last part of the class. was like a week-long trip to Romania.
Sweet.
And so I was like, this is cool. Like everyone goes to Paris, everyone goes to London.
You're
Like
going to Transylvania.
I'm going to the Carpathian mountain range.
Yeah.
So like we fly into Bucharest.
Is Transylvania in Romania?
Yeah, well, it's like that middle section of it. So like it's roughly, like, well, not roughly, I mean, it's somewhat similar to the size of Texas, right? So it's like flying into San Antonio and then driving northward. When you hit like that Waco area, that would be like that Carpathian mountain range, and the Transvaal, all that stuff is through that stretch. And so like Bram's castle, or Bram, whatever's castle, where the what's his name wrote Frankenstein, is there. We visited that one, but there's a bigger one. And well, the Bram one, they call it Vlad's castle. And so you drive through there and everyone's in the Dracula stuff and taking pictures.
They're cosplaying?
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy's making a couple of bucks for the tourists to get off the bus and do it. But I remember like the drive over there, and you get in. I've never been to Colorado, but everyone's like, this place looks like Colorado. And you're doing these switchbacks. And you're doing these switchbacks, and you see this beautiful stretch of water. In fact, if you've seen Borat, the beginning of that, when he's in the town, that's Romania. So like you see those little towns just like that. And you'd be driving on this road, and in the distance you see like this like old, almost like medieval type village, probably a couple miles down the road, just eerie as hell. But as we were driving through that forest, doing those switchbacks and getting going to that castle, I remember looking at myself, like something told me to turn, and I turned, and there was like this little bit of an opening, and I saw like 10 or 12 of the biggest werewolves, wolves, whatever, just in full gallop stride for this like 15-second time just happening. And it's just this long, dude, it was the weirdest, coolest thing. Like, man,
giant wolves in the wild near a vampire's castle.
They had to have been like 600 yards away, and they're just like running, and they were the biggest things I've ever seen in my life. For 600 yards away to go, like you could see this thing being the size of like a motorcycle just hauling. That was like, yeah, I'm not doing
it. It's another one of my favorite Nintendo games, Castlevania.
No, yeah,
Castlevania series. Very
perfect.
Good. Did you go to that? Did you go to that castle?
Well, we went to what they called Dracula, what's Brahms castle, something like that. It's the one, like you said, more in the middle. There's another one that's, I want to say, bigger, larger, that you see on the little postcards. But we walked in there, and it was just it was really kind of eerie.
Yeah, it had weird energy, huh?
Yeah, just it's funny, they talk about like, oh, you watch the stupid shows, and you get these little things of like a cold breeze, right?
Temperature change, huh? Yeah.
There wasn't any windows in some of these rooms we were in. They didn't have central heat, air conditioning or anything. And you would feel like a random, just kind of little like cold little air going through. That whole place was just weird.
Little whispers,
hey, man. I was like covering my neck, just had like that.
Yeah.
It
kind of bugs me they had people dressed up like vampires out there, because it's already. Don't you think it'd have been even creepier if there weren't?
I guess. Okay, fair enough. Like, yeah. I guess so. I don't know. I got to think about that.
I mean, I guess I like the horror movies though, where you like don't see the monster. That's kind of like my thing. I like the unknown. The unknown's scary. That's part of it.
What would be a good like scary movie like that? Like Sightings, I guess, took a while to show the alien.
What
was that? Which one?
The Shyamalan one?
Yeah.
Signs. Yeah, that show was better. That movie was better before you saw the creature, for sure. I think most movies are. It's hard for me to think of an example because I think it applies to most scary movies to me.
I think there was that one scene where like they're broadcasting like from overseas or something, or like just they're showing this video of this like birthday party, and then it pans out the window and all the kids are looking out, and then that's the first time you kind of see it, kind of just like walking by
Yeah,
and
just real
out.
quick through the alley.
I mean, look, in hindsight, that there wasn't much to be scared of, but you're so like just that suspense rose up to that last second.
The final monster, like it, is a good example. Like
Okay,
the
yeah,
original Stephen King's It.
right.
Like the clown in its own right was way scarier than this like end crazy demon spider or whatever
Yeah.
it was at the very end. Like that part it just got unreal or whatever. Like it just got like it doesn't. I don't know. I like not knowing. I like having my own idea what could be about to scare me instead of seeing like this cheesy movie monster. I
That's
say I
fair.
say that, and like my favorite horror series is probably Hellraiser, and
Okay.
that's just like beat you over the head like evilness and gore and shit.
Especially those
You know?
later ones were horrible, but you're like, oh, okay, I'll
Yeah,
watch this guy shoot out laser discs from him and kill
dude,
people.
Hellraiser 2 is so good. Maybe my favorite horror movie, maybe.
Oh
But
man.
they do get pretty bad. We went through a stretch. My brothers and I went through a stretch. We watched all. I think there was nine at the time, and 10 was about to come out. There was like the 10. There was a big break between 9 and 10, or 10 and 11, one of the two. I can't remember. And so we watched them all,
Yeah.
and we watched them on two hands and lead way over the best. You know.
Well, I'd say like kid of the 80s and growing up in the 90s, Critters, because that was always on like Sunday afternoon TBS.
Dude, that's so funny you brought that up. Like I think we're the same age ish, right?
Yeah, I'm 40.
Okay, I'm 43,
Yeah.
and so my dad would watch horror movies like after we went to bed when I was a little kid,
Mhm.
and I'd always hear it from my room, and it would scare me, like hear what's going on. And I swear to God, like every movie to me, like I saw Critters, I saw like the cover at the video rental store, and like for some reason, I always thought that's what I pictured in my brain that he was watching like every night, like every movie, like it all sounded like Critters to me. I don't know why.
They
But
all got in a big ball and they just, I think that was like the second one. They
I've
all
never
rolled
even
into.
seen it. I've never even seen that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, the best parts you can see on YouTube anyway, but
Yeah.
like there's one where they all rolled into this giant ball that was just like this carnivorous, furry ball just rolling over people and stuff.
Mm.
There was that one. I was trying to think what other ones around that time. There's another one. I can't remember the name of it. That was kind of weird. Puppet Master, I think it was around that time.
I don't think I watched Puppet Master.
You know that, and then of course there's a Monster Squad. You know, you
Monster
can't.
Squad. Did you watch X Breed?
Oh no,
Was it? I think that's what it's called. No, Nightbreed. I'm sorry.
Nightbreed. No,
Yeah,
can't say I saw that one.
Clive. I want to say Clive Barker. That's another weird one. They either got to be. I like them super weird. I like the weirder the better. I think that's kind of why I like Hellraiser. That got weird. I know it's all kind of
It got over the top weird.
all hell related, I guess, but it's
Yeah.
super over the top weird. I don't know how that a movie like that would fly
Oh,
now.
Maximum Overdrive. Maximum Overdrive.
There you go.
I just saw that. I think that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Got to throw that up.
I hate to date us again here, but it's like I grew up where like you didn't have every movie. Like and horror movies were even harder to get because my folks didn't want us to watch them, and so I'd have to get them somehow, rent them when I go over to somebody else's house or
Right,
something.
yeah.
And
It's
and
always
yeah,
it's always a buddy's house that
you
we
know.
saw it at.
So we missed a lot and just never saw some stuff when now you can just pop on whatever whenever you want, you know. Well, that's a supernatural experience, man. I wish I
Yeah.
wish I had that one. It
I'm
sounds good.
Your the recent podcast has just dropped, and didn't believe that there was UFOs and aliens because
The
we
one
had
on
seen.
my show?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your
On
most
the
recent one that just dropped.
season 1, season 3, episode 1, the
Yeah,
first one. Farmer?
yeah,
Yeah?
yeah. I thought he mentioned because you asked him that, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't. I think we're being lied to, and
Oh,
it's
yeah, you're right.
right."
I forget what I talk
Well, I
about.
listened to it yesterday, so it's a little bit closer, right?
I forget, but
It's all good.
I'm kind of with Farmer on that. I'm not.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think, see, my thought on this is that like the Earth is like maybe like I don't know, New Jersey or something, those guys don't want to stop by because it's not a place you want to go. I mean, think of a place. Do you want to fly to, I don't know, Nairobi? No, not really. Why would I go?
I've definitely gone over like my 25 years of reading about UFOs and aliens, gone through the gamut of what I think they are or whatever, and over again, changed my mind back a million times about stuff, and I'm sure I will again. But like, there I can't remember the name of the case now, but there's a really old UFO story in Texas. It's like maybe the oldest. I want to say like early 1900s.
Ooh, wow, okay.
Of a story of a crash, and I want to say that they crashed into a windmill, right?
Huh.
And this is an interstellar spaceship that they were saying was traveling at like a very low rate of speed, and it came all the way the vast distance of space to like hit a fucking windmill in Texas. Like I don't believe it. Like I don't. It was that one little detail pushed me over the edge not too long ago. Like about how like I don't think that's what's happening, and if it is something like that, it's on purpose to like for some multitude of reasons. Come up with your own reason, but like that it's happened for a reason. Not that it was some weird accident.
I don't know. I no idea. I just think I think they do exist. I can't imagine aliens,
space aliens.
Okay,
because it's UFOs, no doubt exists.
Yeah,
like they're all over the place. Lots of people see them. The government's telling us that they're there. Greater science community is starting to say that they're there. You know, like there's nobody's saying what they are. Right?
We are in an ever expanding universe. It's just hard to not think that there is something. Or
I used to think that too. I used to think that way. That was definitely a way for a long time. Yeah.
Or it's us.
I like that. I like that theory that we're the only aliens.
No, like or what we're seeing are probably like us in the super future.
I like that.
Jumping dimensions, string theory, all this craziness.
I like that a lot. I like that very much. I'm not gonna poo-poo that one or the interdimensional or whatever the hell you would want to say, like something like that. Like that seems okay. That's weird enough. That could happen.
Right. Because I haven't heard anything lately of that Black Knight satellite.
Well, that's got to be out there somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never gone super deep on that one, but it's hard not to miss when you read about conspiracies and stuff like that comes up. But
I feel like people were talking about it, and then it just kind of died. And then, of course, the latest thing was that Obermann, whatever, that comet, whatever that passed by.
Yeah, the long name that starts with an A. I don't know what it is either.
Yeah, Barma, whatever.
Yeah.
And saying that was like
intelligent control, right?
Yeah, because it didn't have a proper trajectory.
Yeah, for something that would be in free flight or whatever. Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of weird shit out there. I am really have a hard time grasping space aliens from other planets landing here as a 43-year-old man now. Like I can't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me.
What about that school out in like Brazil where it landed and these kids like
in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, they were like this thing like drew pictures, they all had the same account of this thing landing.
Yeah.
That's probably the only one that I've like really looked at and go, oh,
there are confirmed CIA papers showing that they did staged UFO abductions in South America. Right. So there's been humans that have some type of craft that can they do somehow simulate the experience and have apparently abducted stuff. There's a book on it. If you're interested.
But if we had some type of technology like that, it's hard to say we wouldn't just use it for the sake of peace through superior firepower.
You think it'd be militarized or whatever?
Oh yeah. I mean, that would be the first thing the government would want to use it for.
Yeah. There's been lots of sightings of weird stuff during this Ukraine conflict.
Okay, yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that is that stuff. Maybe it's
or Mothman
maybe it's something
stuff?
else. Well, there's a big part of the greater UFO community that really kind of believes this being some sort of spiritual phenomenon, right? And it's making more sense to me the more I read about it, right? At least some of them, at least some of these experiences, right? And that mirror the same kind of thing that happens in these supposed alien encounters or whatever, right? And even getting more specific with the experiencers and communicating with them that it is some sort of spiritual thing, right? Whether it's evil or good or whatever, who knows? But I think it's wide open. I think that it could be so many different things, and the last thing that I think it'd be a Martian. like that's not what happens anymore with if you read about experiencers, right, who meet beings and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's never the being claiming they're from outer space anymore. Like they used to tell us that and shit. They used to show up with fucking helmets on and shit like that, like in the early sightings of this stuff, and that stuff has changed through pop culture, and they're not as pop culture progress, the phenomenon is too. Like I don't think it's as simple as a biological thing,
Well, you got to look back when you were 6 years old and you saw that first picture of that upside down pie tin, and you're like, holy crap, that's a UFO. And now, yeah, with pulp culture, it's like if you saw that same thing, if that thing like came out of nowhere right now and it looked like a pie tin, everyone like,
even that name flying saucer is is a misnomer, because the first, I forget who that was, Kenneth Arnold, whoever it was over Washington, Oregon area where they first like sighting on the news, that wide sighting where they were called a flying saucer, was described as them skipping across. They moved as if they were skipping across a lake, like if you threw a saucer and were skipping it on the water. And that's how he described it to the person who interviewed him. And he said they were actually shaped like something else, like something totally different than that, but that shape and that description turned into the pop culture phenomenon of flying saucer, right? And so that just had legs, and that's what everybody started referring to it as, and what you see in Hollywood and whatever, right? Like the way they put it together.
We got the dot girl holder for the sake of looking like a Bond villain.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go. Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could talk about it all night, man. And in my current stage of life, I think it's something super weird, way weirder than we ever thought it was. And that
well, do you think we'll ever find out before AI takes over?
I don't know. I'm kind of in the camp of like it's not up to us at all. That it's or even anybody in the government. I kind of feel like that type of disclosure is in the phenomenon's hand.
I've been watching some of these AI posts, like they do like this, I don't know, it's a video, but it's AI generated, and it's just like, dang, that's what it came up with. You can't look away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just I don't know, typing anything in.
I don't know. I don't know if
there you go. There's the other one.
We got two. It's a dog party.
We got two.
I'd call Cookie Monster in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where's Cookie Monster?
She never wants to. She never wants to come in here.
No. Yeah, this dog's 17. I don't know how she's still alive.
Sweet old dog.
Yeah.
I love it.
She's died 3 times already where we've come home and she's been so passed out of sleep that you pick her up and she's just like out cold, lethargic.
You're like, goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, my poor wife was crying for like 15 minutes, and then she put her down, and I had something and I can't remember what it was, but like I dropped it and it hit the wood floor, and she just woke up. She's like, oh, hey guys, what's going on?
Just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. She's already done that 3 times. So the time that she does do it, I feel like we've already cried our things. We're gonna have to kick her drop basketballs and everything just to really make sure that this dog is.
That's an old dog, man.
Yeah.
You said 17? 17?
17? Almost 17.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah. Here, come say hi. Come say hi to Marty. No, you're good. Come on. You don't have your face on? All right.
Come say hi. Say hi to me.
He says, come say hi. He says, we're not on. We're just talking. Yeah, come say hi. Yeah. Look at his background. See, look He's got.
I'm a local. See?
He's a local. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got my headphones on. And under this thing, I got my
Oh.
headphones on. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. Thanks for stopping
Hey, Gabe.
by. Saying hi.
I got one
Saying
more.
hi to my 5 followers.
I got one more question for you, and it's not about
You got
fishing
it. What
or
do you got?
ghosts but you post food once in a while. I want to know what
Yeah.
what's the best stuff in San Antonio? Like, where if somebody was coming in for a day, and they needed to go to a couple places, where would you send them?
Well, it's got to be Mexican for sure. Now our Mexican food's a little bit different because we're center Texas, so it's Tex-Mex,
Yeah.
right?
I'm okay with Tex-Mex.
Now we do have a place that opened up about a year ago, and they do California style burritos.
Okay.
So that was the first time I've had it. I never really knew there was a difference, but they're putting carne asada, meat chunks, rice, beans, and French fries.
Oh yeah, that's the California burrito.
Yeah. And that's all they do. They're just like they're all
Which-
knockoff of it.
Avocado in there too?
Yeah, like you can get all of it.
California name on it. You got to put avocado in there.
Now, I will say, when I was in Romania, they had these chicken sandwiches. They called them poi something or other.
Yeah.
And it's like Kaiser rolls, a bunch of mayo, chicken, and a ton of French fries. And they just put that on there. And at like 2 o'clock at night, man, coming from the bar, those were fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's always the best stuff.
And I feel like I catch myself doing that. I feel like I do that a lot now, or put French fries in my
that's
sandwich or whatever.
Well, you guys don't have
Just-
you don't have In-N-Out burger out there, right?
We do.
You do? Oh, where'd you get one?
Yeah. We got one probably about 7 years ago.
Oh yeah, where is
so
it?
there's a couple, I thought.
Is there a
This one's
couple
on
in
the west
Texas?
side. Yeah. There's Austin's got like 2.
Oh, okay.
I know there's one by my house, which is on the west side of San Antonio. So like
Oh,
by
shit.
SeaWorld.
Oh, cool.
There's one there.
Well, the elusive secret menu item, the monkey style, where they throw the animal style fries on the burger.
Okay.
Yeah. French
I've
fries
only
on
been there-
sandwiches. Good. Yeah.
I've only been there once. I'm a Whataburger guy.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. I'll try that tomorrow. That and your secret McDonald's McMuffin
No,
stack.
don't do
5 egg
that.
stack.
Don't do that.
Your 5 egg stack.
Oh man, those are horrible, dude. That's the worst egg. That's the worst egg you could ever get
I
from
think
any
that-
place.
That was a solid. I can't remember. I don't. Is it on your Facebook or is it or not your YouTube?
It's on
Or-
YouTube. It's on the Worm Tutorials YouTube.
That you see
Mhm.
that I'm gonna have to share that. I enjoyed that
That was
masterpiece.
fun. I tried to talk the worm into filming another one, but it's been so long that we just let it go. We have some other ideas that we might come up with another film though.
So to finish answering your question, we've got a lot of barbecue joints, and in the last 5,
I was hoping there would be a barbecue
a
recommendation.
lot of really good joints. There's one Burnt Bean, which is probably about 45 minutes from the house.
Yeah.
And then of course you have Lockhart and stuff, but we've got some really, I feel like Instagram's really pushed the barbecue stuff.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of those opening up. We have a lot of
Barbecue and birria.
Yeah,
It's like
birria.
everything you see. Yeah.
Yeah, beer. Yeah, exactly. Or beer, ramen birria.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Right.
And birria is great. And so
Yeah.
so I love barbecue too. So
That's
I'm okay with that.
fantastic. Obviously, breakfast tacos are a big staple. Something I've really been going after a lot.
Breakfast tacos are better in Texas. I don't get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Something else that I've really gotten into has been Indian food.
Oh, that's one
And-
that I can't do, man.
Well, I think if
Yeah.
you got to find that starter plate that has taste that you're used to, or something
it's
that
because I don't like goops, and
Eh.
it's pretty much a meal of goops.
No, I think if you get butter chicken.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
the chicken I've had with tandoori chicken or something like that.
Yeah,
but
okay,
there's
so
like
tandoori chicken is like
yeah,
is almost like the pollo asado of Indian chicken.
yeah, totally.
Right. So, but a good butter chicken
Mm.
with rice and some garlic naan, all day.
I like garlic naan.
Mm-hmm.
My wife makes great garlic naan actually at home. We eat it for all sorts of different things. But yeah, man, I've gone. My friends have taken me multiple times because I've told them I don't like Indian food, so they take me. No, go to this one. We'll go to okay. I'll go to that one.
We do have a Mediterranean place. I guess a Mediterranean. The sisters that run it, they're from I think they're from Iraq. I think, but they have this.
I like a halal plate, man. Yeah.
Okay, well, but they have a magout, and it's a lamb shank over saffron rice. Dude, it is awesome. Just the shank with this gravy.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's awesome. And then they have that harissa hot sauce, which kind of reminds me of the sriracha garlic stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff, when it gets cold, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. I like a shawarma plate or something.
There you go. Yeah.
I love that stuff, man.
And then, it's funny. I didn't know this, but we have a lot of these taquerias where there's one in particular called Taqueria West Avenue. And you go up, you walk in, and they just sell these street tacos. So they have I think 5 or 6 different types. You just tell them, I want lengua, I want tripas, I want this, and then they put it all there for you. And they have that spit with but that's all Lebanese, so that's all your shawarma.
Oh, that's totally like a shawarma, yeah.
No, it is.
That's
where there was a Lebanese family that went into Mexico and started that. They brought that type of cooking there.
No shit, I didn't know.
And then it turned into El Pastor.
Oh, well, thank you, Lebanese.
Yeah,
folks.
Who would have thought, right?
I love pastor. I love pineapple and meat. Yeah. Give me that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a thing on Netflix, the same people that do, I think, the Chef's Table, but they just did tacos.
Oh yeah.
And they have an episode of just street tacos, and they talk about that.
I think there's a good chance that I was meant to be Mexican.
There you go.
I could eat Mexican food every day.
We got this other place that I grew up on called MK Davis, and it's the first place I ever saw that had these schooners of ice cold beer. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's the first place. And they have these things called crispy dogs. And it's a hot dog with cheese. The hot dog's cut, they put a little bit of cheese, they wrap it in a corn tortilla, and then they deep fry it.
Yeah, boy, I'm in.
Comes in a pack of 3, and oh, dude, I could eat those all day.
Man, Gabe, I don't know why I saved this. It's probably good I saved this question for last because I didn't eat supper. I'm hungry as hell. Now it's even worse.
Yeah, yeah.
I live in the suburbs, man. There's not a lot of good food out here. I lived downtown for 10 years before I had kids, and we were spoiled with just great food all over the place. Sacramento has good food.
Yeah.
One thing I would say about Sacramento, I got a lot of good food and a wide variety.
We're a military city, so I mean, there's a ton of stuff.
Ton of different stuff.
Stuff.
Rad. Love it.
And again, with Instagram and stuff, I just feel like there's always a new place that's opening up.
Yeah, I like flavors, man. I want to try all the flavors.
Yeah. See, that's me fly fishing. I want to try all the flavors.
Yeah.
I want to try all the flavors. And some people are going to tell me that it's got to be Chinese. And some people are like, no, it can't be this type of taco. Who gives a shit? Let's go have fun with it.
That's how we're going to end this one, Gabe. That's a good ender.
Can I take this mask off now?
Yeah, please. Take it off. Thanks for finally being my guest, Gabe. It's been a long time coming. Our chat was kind of all over the place, but it was also the culmination of many digital messages and the first time we had an actual conversation. I love my Texas friends. I met a lot through this show, too. I'm very grateful. People from Texas love Texas, and I love that. I've said it in a couple episodes this season that I really want to love where I live. I don't know why that's important to me, but it is, and I can't help but feel like my time in California is running out. I guess there's places in California that I do love, but there's no way that I'd ever be able to afford to live in them. And I would never feel like I belonged in those places if I somehow could afford to live in them. I'd still feel like I was an intruder of some type. Not on this show, though. This is my world, and you're the intruder. How does that feel? How does it feel to feel like I usually do when I vacation in parts of my home state that I cannot afford to live in? That's not how I really think about you. You're not my intruders. You're my friends. That wraps up episode 9 of season 3. There's only a few more episodes left, and then I get to take a break for a little while. As always, thank you for listening. I've had a few notable people in the angling world like some of my episode trailers recently, and it feels good just to know that I might be making some of my favorite people in this realm laugh or at least smile a little bit. Thanks to everyone who's taken the time to leave a review on whatever podcast platform you use. Leave me a comment or send me a message. I appreciate you. I'll sign off with a few suggestions of things that entertain me. First one is going to be Cosmographia with Randall Carlson. It's Randall Carlson's podcast and YouTube channel. If you visit Randall's official website, the tagline you'll see is, "It is our mission to investigate and document the catastrophic history of the world and the evidence for advanced knowledge in earlier cultures." I first saw Randall on one of his appearances on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and he had me going down so many different rabbit holes that my brain was spinning. Besides for the regular episodes he puts out in podcast format and on YouTube, he speaks at conferences and hosts tours of sites that he believes hold yet to be found proof of his theories related to our ancient civilizations. Some of those tours are with another podcast that I recommended on an earlier episode, the Canadian Grimerica Boys. One of my favorite episodes is Cosmographia Live 16 that was originally released on August 29th, 2022, called Moon Mysteries and Giants in America. If you aren't already familiar, I highly encourage you to check out the thought-provoking content that Randall's been releasing. I just mentioned a Canadian podcast, and that segues nicely into my second recommendation for today, and that is another Canadian who has a podcast. Damian Abraham from the band Fucked Up has a podcast called Turned Out a Punk. I just started listening to the show, and I've been enjoying binging episodes with my favorite people from the world of punk rock and hardcore. Even cooler, I was just listening to episode 185 with Cedric Bixler Zavala from At the Drive-In in Mars Volta, and Cedric name-dropped SSFT alumni Alvin Dito's old band Bad Mother Goose. I love when these worlds collide. Damien is a punk historian and a serious record collector. He's interviewed almost everyone you can think of related to the genre of punk rock and more. From Bruce from Kids in the Hall, to Jello Biafra, to Brian Baker, to Emil and the Sniffers, and everyone in between. I think a lot of you will dig this show, so give her a listen, would you?
What's the one thing that we all have to do no matter what? What's the one simple task that each of us stupid, ugly human beings must do? What is the one unifying act that equalizes us all? Well, taking fat dumps, of course. I don't care if you're the Queen of Mexico or a humble street urchin like myself. You've got to poop. You've got to push the digested waste out of your body. We are all the same in that way. That's not to say that there aren't differences in technique, frequency, and quantity of bathroom habits. Each turd is unique just like each one of us. We all have our own history, and we all have our own style. Speaking of style, the most stylish way to drop a big old crop of logs is to do it right into the hungry, gaping mouth of an American Standard toilet. American Standard toilets are the best in class when it comes to chairs that you're allowed to poop into. They're sleek, timeless, luxurious, and eager to accept the sloppiest sludge that might leak out of your backside. Do you eat nothing but lobster shells and pigeon feathers? Are you experiencing extreme side effects from the horse antibiotics that you're taking? Do you just have weird guts that make you poop long orange wet slivers of poop? It doesn't matter, because American Standard toilets can handle all of this and then some. Not only will an American Standard toilet gulp down your body's waste, but they're also great for flushing dead or unwanted goldfish, incriminating evidence, and big spiders that you smashed with a shoe. So please, head on over to your local bathroom appliance dealer and get yourself a shiny new American Standard toilet today. Tell them that the Secret Society of Fly Tires sent you. And now, if you don't mind, I think I'll put my old American Standard to the test right now, if you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, maybe this will clarify things a bit. Please note that this is not a real advertisement, and the company, brand, entity, or product mentioned in the preceding ad in no way endorses, agrees with, or knows about this podcast.